In the ACC, suddenly the focus is on surprising Maryland. Ralph Regent has his Terps pointing toward the top and undefeated. A defense designed to confuse and collide, combined with an offense with all the tricks and treats of Halloween week. That, combined with finding ways to win, has helped the Terrapins shed their shell of losing. Perennial champ Florida State's already dropped its air of invincibility, as well as 2 games, and today 2 young guns are set to fire in Tallahassee. Here come the Seminoles, who have never lost a conference game at home. They don't intend to today either, you can bet. A packed house at Doak Campbell Stadium for the matchup between Florida State and the Terrapins of Maryland. As we said, it's the surprising Maryland Terrapins. Perfect in conference play, one of the few undefeated teams left in the country. North Carolina and Georgia Tech have a date on ESPN on Thursday night. Clemson has won today. Florida State, with that 3-1 mark in conference play, still very much in the thick of things. But it's the fridge. Ralph Regent, who's got his Maryland Terrapins all fired up and undefeated at 7-0. Hi again, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler. My partner's Bob Greasy. When we looked at this one at the beginning of the season on the schedule, I don't think it looked like the biggest game in the ACC. And Bob, I don't know if it's attitude, if it's confidence, whatever it is, the Terrapins kind of have a Phrygian size amount of it, don't they?
I think it's 2 words, Ralph Phrygian. He took a losing program the last 5 years, and with the same players, turned it around into a winning program this year. This team was picked 7th in the ACC this year. Florida State has won this conference 9 straight years, and to turn this program around and to authenticate it, he has to beat Florida State here today.
And Bobby Bowden's team knows he's in for a dogfight. We've been coming down here a long time. Very seldom have we ever come down here when they've got 2 losses, and this is an unfamiliar spot for him.
Well, he still feels like, it's been an off year, obviously, but he still feels like if they win their last games, they can win the conference and get a share of the title and be ranked high enough to represent the conference in the BCS bowl game.
All right. Well, one of the problems they've had, I guess, is at quarterback. Normally they've got a guy that's got a lot of veteran experience. And Swanee, that's not the case. We might see 2 of them today.
That's definitely not the case when it comes to experience. The quarterback halfway into the season for Florida State is on very shaky ground. They're going to start with Chris Ricks. He is a redshirt freshman, but his main problem has been turning the ball over through interceptions and loosely carrying the ball, causing fumbles. If they replace him, they have to go to a true freshman, and he is Adrian McPherson. They would go with him because they feel he has some natural abilities. But as Bob Greasy will say, and I'll defer to experience of a great quarterback, that you can't really compare what McPherson has done when he's come in relief of Ricks, because he's come in situations where there's absolutely no pressure. Would they replace Ricks? Absolutely, if he throws 2 or 3 quick interceptions early in this ball game. But we'll have to wait and see just how he sustains the pressure this afternoon, Brad.
All right, we've seen him suffer under that pressure when we were here a couple of weeks ago against Miami. He had an awful game, and he knows it. And last week, McPherson did do a nice job in relief. Renegade coming out. We already had a little bit of a confrontation before the teams even went to the locker room earlier, as everybody was kind of bumping chests out there. So Maryland definitely is a different team under that man, and they have a new attitude. 12th meeting, but they've never beaten them. And the average margin of victory, 34 points. In fact, they've never been any closer than 14, and they've never scored more than 21.
Yeah, Ralph said, anybody that is afraid or is intimidated by going down there, I don't want you on the bus.
He said, we're on a mission, and if you don't want to go with that mission, stay home. Maryland won the toss, and that means Florida State is 0-7 on coin tosses this year. Bobby says, dadgummit, we can't win anything. And there's Bobby Bowden, now tied for 3rd all-time in victories. 1 more, and he'll move past Glenn Pop Warner. And Profonso Thorpe, the freshman, will drop back deep, as Florida State will get the football first. A surprising 7-0 Maryland team, ranked 12th in the country, their highest since 1985. Vidad Silkovic has got it teed up and set to kick away. Thorpe and P.K. Sam, a couple of true freshmen, are the guys that wait on the other end. Pretty windy out here today, but crystal clear, a perfect football day, the final weekend of October, and we're underway. And it'll be Thorpe from the 3. Out out across the 25 and gets out near the 29-yard line before he's run down. Jamal Cochran made the stop on special teams. Chris Ricks, the guy that Lynn Swann talked about. There he is, a redshirt freshman. And there's the numbers he's put up so far this year.
6 starts, 4-2 in those 6 ball games. And his big bugaboo has been the turnovers.
For the Seminoles, number 16, Chris Ricks.
So Ricks brings him out to a first down at the 29-yard line. 2 tight ends set for Florida State to open things. Play action. Ricks comes up throwing, and that's the way to start. First down on the first toss. Pick up a 13 out to Atruz Bell. Here's the big fellas up front. Williams is the best of the pack there, the lineman of the week in the ACC. Brown, Marambo, Holland, and Todd Williams. The backs and receivers, Maddox to start. We'll see a lot of Greg Jones. Maters the fullback. Walker and Bell, who just caught that one. Carver Donaldson is the tight end.
And really the strength of that offense is that offensive line and the running game the last couple of weeks.
Led by Maddox and Jones. You saw Maddox, the tailback. Ricks comes out. Another first down throw. Got it out to his tight end. Maryland defensively, they really get after you, and they do it in a kind of a different way. Roundtree, Hill, and Feldheim are up front. A rangy group of linebackers, and those where most of the pressure comes from, quite frankly. Whaley, Henderson, Joe, and Thompson. And the secondary, they've been opportunistic too. Wilson starting today. Jackson, Jones, and Cox. And there's the guy that's one of the best, not only in the ACC, but the country, E.J. Henderson. And here's Florida State's first run of the day. And they get it out near midfield. Pickup of almost 5. And it's going to bring up third down and a long 2.
This is a very aggressive defense that the Seminoles are playing here today, and one of their key players is not here. Tony Okonawan, their leading interceptor and third interceptor in the nation. He had 5 interceptions, is not here, had a concussion last week, and they left him back in Maryland.
So there's the guy that starts for him, Bernard Wilson.
And the first 2 passes of the game were over to his side of the field.
Surprise, surprise,
yeah.
Huh? Third down 2. And the Noles will work from the gun. Their opening drive at their own 49-yard line. Here comes that delayed blitz. Ricks fires. Nobody home. Whaley's the guy that came with the delayed pressure. And Florida State had something going there early, but now it's fourth down.
Well, this defense is very aggressive. They're a 3-man line. Their weakness is their defensive line, so they send a lot of blitzers. They send a lot of people. It's a good thing he overthrew that, because that one would have been picked off.
That's been the tendency of Ricks, Bob, is to sail passes, and you're right. If he hadn't sailed that one, that thing would have been picked off. Walt need a punt. Chance lays up a high boomer. And can they get it inside the 5? I don't know. Did they get there?
Nice play.
Great play.
Yes.
Nope, they're going to say touchback.
I don't know. The deal is, if the ball breaks the plane, the player doesn't have to touch the line. If the ball breaks the plane of the goal line in college football, it's a... Yeah, that's a good call.
That's a good call.
Just the ball has to break the plane, not the player. These rules are different than the NFL.
Great individual effort, though, to get down there and almost down it at the 1-foot line. Instead, it's out to the 20. So Maryland's offense catches a little bit of an early break. And that's where they work. The most prolific offense, both total offense and scoring-wise in the ACC, works from its own 20-yard line. Perry, the single setback. They play fake it. Hill comes up throwing, and a short gain. Got a couple to his tight end, Jeff Dugan.
Short-armed it.
Sean Hill, quite a story in his own right. He's playing junior college ball in Kansas when Maryland went looking for a cornerback and found a quarterback instead. And there's his numbers this year, and he's been getting better the last couple of weeks especially. Ever since he engineered the comeback win over Georgia Tech in overtime, he's been on a tear. 3 wide receivers for him on a 2nd down and 8. Option. And the pitch to Perry. What a collision at the 25 that was. Abdul Howard made the stop. Offensively, here's the guys up front. Brooks and Wyke. Fowler, the best of that group with the most experience as well. Bryant and Crawford round out the front wall. The backs and receivers, Bruce Perry, closing in on 1,000 yards already. Lynch is the fullback. Gary and Williams the wideouts, and Jeff Dugan is the tight end. They didn't even know who their tailback would be this year, and they found this guy.
Oh, boy. And this is Ralph Friedgen's offense. There's a lot of gimmicks, and he says there's nothing holding back. We're going after these guys. We're gonna fire bullets. We're gonna take our shots.
Here's one of them coming up, 3rd and 3. Got a man open. Got a first down out to the 37-yard line. Got it out to Lynch, his big fullback, and a pickup of 11. Defensively, Alonzo Jackson is back from injury. That'll help the front wall of Florida State. Dockett, Womble, and Emmanuel round out the front four. The linebackers getting better all the time. Pope, Jennings, and Boulware, all big playmakers. The secondary for Florida State with Samuels and Brown on the corners. Abdul Howard and Chris Hope, one of the defensive captains, are the safeties. Fumble. Perry out to the 44-yard line. Is it?
Yep.
And they're unpiling bodies.
Second down.
Second down.
There's a look at the offensive line. Fowler, number 67, the center, is an outstanding player. Nice hole in there. The ball did come loose right there. You can see it, and he got it back. That was a fortunate break.
Sure.
Perry just fell back on it.
Was it ever? Second down and 4 now. Just inside the 44. Hill, straight drop. Got a man in the flat, and Perry wide open. And he's got a first down across midfield.
Like the offense. I like the play calls. Throw into the back, look downfield. Perry has caught 11 passes in the last 2 games. This is something Friedgen did at Georgia Tech when he was down there. He does it all, everywhere he goes. Looks downfield, comes off to the back, and let your best back. I mean, this guy's almost got 1,000 yards rushing. Get him out in space and give him the ball.
There's Ralph, an assistant at Maryland under Bobby Ross, before going with him to the San Diego Chargers. Movement on the left side of the line, it appeared, although I don't see a flag. There it is, way over on the far side. Dugan, I think, jumped. Jennings hammered the quarterback. And you talk about Ralph Friedgen and, you know, George O'Leary and his staff's down in Atlanta watching this game because they got the weekend off. And it's, I don't know if it's a carbon copy, but it's pretty darn close.
Yes, it is. And we're talking to Mickey Andrews, defensive coordinator. They went back and looked at some of the games that they played against Georgia Tech to find out how he approached Florida State defensively when he was there.
So the penalty backs it up just inside the 46-yard line.
And it's still first down because it was a pre-snap play. Illegal movement, just there was no play.
3 wideouts. A straight drop, but it's Perry again. He's got blockers in front with a quick screen and down to the 45-yard line. So got the penalty plus 4 back. A pickup of 9. Perry so dangerous out of the backfield as a receiver. 27 catches now in the year. 2
offensive linemen are going to slide out to the right, Crawford and Bryant. This is just good stuff. This is giving yourself an opportunity to make a play. You got your 2 offensive linemen. You throw it to your little scat back out in broken field. Now I feel good about getting some yardage when I got that situation.
You saw Perry's numbers. You're going to add 2 more receptions to that already here in this first quarter. Option keeper Hill. Pope drops him. Kendall Pope with a tackle. That'll bring up 3rd down.
That's the second option that Ralph Friedgen has called in like the first 7 or 8 plays, and he wants to make sure that Mickey Andrews and defensively Florida State has to keep in mind that we're going to run that option, and that forces the defense to really get out of man coverage and play a lot of zone coverage. It limits what the defense can do.
And it drives defensive coordinators crazy just having to get ready for it.
That's all they talk about.
3rd down, 6 at the Seminoles 45. Hill got some pressure and got hammered from behind as he let go of the ball. That's something Florida State hasn't been able to bring because that guy's been hurt.
Yes.
Now he's back.
They're second last in the conference in sacking the quarterback. They only have 9 quarterback sacks on the year. Jackson's going to come from the other side. Hits the quarterback as he's throwing it, but this is something that Florida State needs to do, be able to protect for the passer.
Running situation. Bernard to kick. Kind of floated off the side of his foot, but it's going to end up being pretty darn effective. It's going all the way down inside the 5. Perfect kick. Nice coverage, 43-yarder, and drops Florida State down offensively to its own 3-yard line. That's where we'll see the Seminoles when we come back.
Gotta have fun. A little bit of celebrating does not bother me.
The game itself is fun. These are great athletes playing the game of football. That's a celebration. That's fun.
That's because you ain't got no rhythm, man.
It's about individuality, Chris.
It's called professional football. Act like a professional.
Stop talking about professional and organized and disciplined. They're kids. Let the kids have some fun. We'll show you some fun.
Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Coach's room. Nice.
College Game Day, presented by Discover Card. Saturday mornings at 10:30 on ESPN.
He's a field goal kicker. What's so amazing about a field goal? It's 63 yards under pressure. Under pressure? Pressure. I never said more than 5 words to a field goal kicker in my life.
Like, go get me some water.
And hurry.
Guys, look, I got $40. Says none of y'all can hit from half that distance.
You got it. I'll take that. It's a bet.
Guys, believe you're up.
Pretty far.
Second possession for Chris Ricks. Bobby Bowden talked with us about why he wasn't going to change quarterbacks early.
I didn't feel like after the 6th ball game against an undefeated team, this is the time to go out and try somebody out. Let's see if he can do it. I don't want to do that. Let's start Ricks and let him play. If he makes a mistake, am I going to jerk him? No. If he makes a couple, am I going to jerk him? No. But if he's struggling, gone a quarter and a half, we're not getting anything done, then we come in there with the other guy.
And that makes sense. It just makes good sense.
There's the other guy.
Yeah, and they're both young. One has started 6 games as a redshirt freshman. That's Ricks, and McPherson is he's trying to find his way around campus.
He won't even turn 19 until May. That's how young he is. 2nd and 10 from the 3.
Here they come.
The handoffs to Jones, and he might have gotten a yard. That's about it. And Maryland doesn't give up much on the ground either. They're tops in the conference and 15th in the country, giving up about 100 yards a game.
The other thing about playing a young quarterback against this defense is very difficult for a young guy. It's very disruptive. It's confusing.
Comes
it's
from
linebacker.
all over.
Yeah, they got 3 linemen. They use 4 and 5 and 6 defensive backs. You got to know who you can block and who you can't block. Difficult defense.
And that's Chris Ricks from the shotgun in his own end zone. On a 3rd down and 8. They'll keep it on the ground. Trying to bust outside. Well, not a bad job by William McRae. The fullback got about 6. He at least got him some room to kick it.
And I think it's a good call. A young quarterback early in the game. Again, we've said that a quarterback, Ricks, is prone to throw interceptions. This defense leads the country in taking the ball away in turnovers. So punting at this stage of the game is not a bad thing.
We saw that in the Oklahoma-Nebraska game that preceded us. Field position was key throughout, and then you get one big play, and that can be the difference. And there's that turnover margin that Bob was talking about. Gwaltney out a punt from his own end zone. High kick, but they're caught at the 50-yard line. Great field position now, so Maryland wins the exchange of field possession. In this case, they'll have it at midfield on offense when we come back. No score.
Look at me on the football. Look. Feels so pretty inside.
Kirk, look, it's you and me.
I have to go. I'm sorry.
It's you and me, Kirk.
I'm a football. Look at me. Kirk!
And we're back.
College Game Day, presented by Discover Card. Saturday mornings at 10:30 on ESPN.
Monday Night Football, they brought in Dennis Miller, so we decided to give our show a little shot in the arm.
So while Serena sits at home with an injury, Venus Williams has advanced to the finals.
Tennis racket! Yeah! NCAA basketball, big dance.
And you always have to try new things. You always got to tinker with it, make it better.
The Bulls basketball, look. Why? Why was it so bad?
You know what? It's a very subjective thing.
Next Sports Center, 1 hour from now with Carrot Top. I'm Carl Ravitch. Thanks for watching, folks.
Woo! Smart!
Put yourself in the hot seat of ESPN's 2-minute drill. Feel your heart pump and your adrenaline build as you race the clock. Now you can be in the hot seat at home. ESPN's 2-minute drill, the ultimate sports quiz show, comes to the PC with ESPN's 2-minute drill CD-ROM. Test your sports knowledge with host Kenny May and other ESPN personalities such as Rich Eisen, Tom Jackson, and Charlie Steiner. ESPN's 2-minute drill CD-ROM. Available wherever software is sold.
Maryland has brought some people to Tallahassee. And last week, in their victory at home at Byrd Stadium, I don't know, be careful what you ask for. Facetiously doing the tomahawk chop in preparation for this game, and now here they are on the road where Florida State has never lost to a conference opponent.
It's been a long time since they lost 2 in a row here at home. The last game they lost to Miami.
We saw that one. Now Maryland, good field position right at the 50. Play action. Hill fires over the head of his intended receiver.
Had what he wanted there. Florida State snuck the safety up. They had 8 in the box to stop the run. He had single coverage on the outside. The receiver's going to get open for him. That's Gary. Jillian Gary comes in, goes straight up on Samuels. Now breaks back out. Now this may not have been the way it was exactly in practice, but a quarterback has to see and adjust in ball games. He was open enough to get him the ball.
3 wideouts out there right now on 2nd and 10. Going to go with a draw play to Perry. Nope, that's Riley, not Perry. And Riley got 5. Beginning of the season, they were looking for a tailback to take Lamont Jordan's place, who was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. They said, would it be Riley? Would it be Perry? Would it be a freshman? And that's when Perry came to the forefront. And Riley now spells him, and those two exchange in the backfield. Perry comes back in at the tail. As Bob said, came into this one 51 yards shy of 1,000.
Led the nation in rushing for a few weeks early in the season.
They got the freshman Parson out there as a 3rd wide receiver as Hill drops, gets some heat again, and now he takes off with it. And good open field tackle to prevent a first down. Malcolm Tatum came up there. He'd been banged up. The Florida State secondary, they got a lot of fingers, not many thumbs. Everybody back there's got a broken thumb, and Tatum had one earlier.
Yeah, he did. This is a nice job, offensive line, giving him some time to throw. He had 5 guys out, and nobody could get open, and Tatum comes up and puts him down.
Here comes the punting unit for Maryland. I wonder if Ralph would pull a trick here on 4th down and yard.
If he had one, this would be a good place for it because you're on the other side of the 50-yard line.
Well, they'll snap it to the punter. Bernard will kick it. Trying to do what he did last time when he dropped it at the 3. This time a little too much on it, and it goes in the end zone. So again, field position has been the story early. With 6:43 remaining, Florida State will take over at the 20-yard line. Next Saturday, ABC Sports back with more college football action, 3:30 Eastern. Some of you will see the Seminoles against Clemson. We'll be at that one. Other regional action, Oregon State, USC, and either Michigan, Michigan State, or Illinois and Purdue. So Ricks comes out, 3rd series, a little more room to work here this time. Chris said the fact that he shared duty with the #1 team with Adrian McPherson this week didn't bother his preparation at all. Here's a toss, they'll try to run. Nick Maddox trying to cut back, looking for a block. Needs one more and got it, and now he's going the other way. And Maddox got the corner. How about that run? That thing looked like a 5-yard loss. It became a 21-yard gain.
He did that all on his own. He just ran to the left, and by doing it to the left side of the field, he's going to come this way, but all the defensive players are going to come that way also. And when he comes back, he's faster than the rest of the defense that are all the way on the other side.
Watch his quarterback get a block for him.
Yeah. Now look at this. Now there's no white shirts on this side of the field, and he's got the speed. He got one white shirt. He's going to run around him.
I love that quarterback throwing a block like that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Play action. Ricks now, plenty of time. Steps up and airs it long for Walker. Oh, that's interference.
They were fighting.
Randall Jones back there with Javon Walker, and the flags fly at the 5.
Yeah, there was some pushing and shoving. This is one thing that Ricks does have is a gun for an arm.
He threw that a long ways.
He can throw it a long way. But it'll be a 15-yard penalty from the spot of the previous spot.
So that's going to put it into Maryland territory slightly.
Sometimes I like this rule, and sometimes I don't. Here you go. Here's the right there. Oh, he mugged him.
Yeah, it's a mugging. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I like this call in the pros, and sometimes I like it in the college. The interference call down the field.
Better to interfere than give up a 65-yard touchdown, which is what that might have been. But
if that would have been a touchdown and you were a Florida State fan, you would have said, hey, let's get the ball down there on the 5-yard line.
That's exactly right. Doak Campbell Stadium with Florida State now in Maryland territory for the first time at the 44. And Maddox cuts out inside the 40 to the 39. Give Nick 5 more. 6:14 left first quarter here. Let's check in with John Saunders in New York.
Brad, time for the Burger King update. UCLA, you know what a job their defense has done this year. This lateral intended for Brian Allen. It is a lateral, so a live ball. Ryan Neese picks it up and goes 39 yards for the touchdown. The Bruins lead 7-0. 6:41 left in the first quarter.
Ryan Neese, big play, bigger than his daddy, too. Physically, that is. Ricks lofts one out. Tight end. Down the sideline is Carver Donaldson. And he's got a first down. Pickup of 11. Using that tight end a little bit here early.
They don't use the tight ends a lot. That's the blitz, comes inside. Joe 32 is one of the linebackers inside. This is a nice read, and I like the calmness of the quarterback. He saw the linebackers coming, he saw the blitz, and he said, aha, I can handle this because I got a quick man to throw the ball to away from all the traffic.
Chris is 3 out of 5 throwing the ball. 5:38 left first quarter, no score. Florida State, though, on the march here. They're the first down at the 28 of Maryland. Here comes the house on the blitz. Florida State picks it up, rips it. Incomplete. Atruz Bell laid out and couldn't hold it.
Atruz Bell was a big-time part of this offense last year. He caught 10 touchdown passes. This year he hasn't caught any.
And I think part of that, Bob, is the fact that he has the pressure of being the go-to guy. As you see him right here, a perfect opportunity to catch. I think he would have made last year, but here in 2001, he's come up short on making big plays for his offensive unit.
Yeah, Swanee, you made that point the other day, too, that when Snoop Minnis was here, that kind of freed Atruz Bell up to sneak around and get those touchdowns, and now that he's the man, he's dropped 2 already today, as a matter of fact. Nice play fake on the bootleg. Ricks has good wheels, and he'll run it here. Oh, he paid the price for it.
Yeah, I don't like to see any quarterback taking all that punishment. When you get outside and the party's over, see, he wants help, and the lineman saying he's not coherent. Come on, help. I don't like to see when you get outside as a quarterback and you can't get any further, just get down. Don't take the punishment.
The last hit in the helmet's the one that's going to hurt right there.
Yeah. They took a good one on the second hit there, too. But
Henderson got the lick in, and Ricks is a little woozy. So Adrian McPherson, we knew we'd see him at some point. We didn't know it would be for this reason. And Jeff Bowden, the offensive coordinator, giving him final instructions. Not that you want to come in on a 3rd and 7, but Swanee said we'd see them both, and here we do in the first quarter with 5 minutes left. AD.
He has not gotten in many games this early in the contest. Here they come.
They loaded up to bring the heat, and he isn't going to get away. Yep. You knew Maryland was smelling that, and they come up with a sack. Mike Whaley probably just took him out of field goal range, too.
Well, Whaley is one of the guys. Here's a linebacker. He just got a blitz to the inside. And McPherson turned away from him, probably didn't even see him. But that's the history of this defense. That's why it's tough for a young whether it's Ricks or whether McPherson, to play against this blitzing style defense.
It's like Chris maybe got a cut on the chin too. They were dabbing something there, and it's a punting situation for Gwaltney now.
Is it a punting situation from the 31-yard line?
Well, they don't trust the field goal kicker again. That's the same problem they've had for quite a while.
Yeah, and they don't want to go for it.
And Bobby's on the headset.
It's 4th down and 13.
Xavier Bethia is their freshman place kicker, and he's had trouble. Actually, probably better from long range than he is kicking extra points. Anyway, they'll kick it here. And Gwaltney again got just a little bit too much of it. And a few boo birds out at Doak Campbell Stadium. That's something you normally hear.
Well, they haven't seen Florida State do that very often, punting from their own inside their own 35-yard line. This offense usually good enough to go for it.
As a touchdown boogie coordinator, I'm called upon to be
a tailgate, only on ESPN Classic. Every Friday from 1 to 7, witness the greatest game.
Touchdown! The Snake does it again!
The greatest players and the greatest rivalries in college football history. It's the Classic Friday Tailgate. Every Friday from 1 to 7, only on ESPN Classic. Every Wednesday night from 9 to 11 is Wednesday Night College Football. It's Game of the Night, only on ESPN Classic. Classic rivalries. Touchdown! Classic legend. Classic bowl.
The Snake does it again! Touchdown, Nebraska!
The only place to be for the greatest games in college football is ESPN Classic. Wednesday Night College Football. Every Wednesday night from 9 to 11.
Hey, Boilermaker.
Yeah?
Got my curve breaking 2.5 feet.
Oh, yeah? Then you have been practicing, huh? But don't give me no baloney about a curve breaking 2.5 feet, though.
For how much?
$10?
Make it 20.
We got a bet.
Baseball Tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
There's Chris Ricks on the sideline, an ice bag on the back of his neck right now as he's talking upstairs.
He looks like he plans on being back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he'd be talking with upstairs if he was out.
That's a good point. So Maryland will work from the 20 again. 5 possessions we've had so far and 5 punts. This time they go with the fullback, as again we see a little bit of the option, and Lynch goes ahead for a couple. Bradley Jennings made the stop. Ralph Friedgen, first year as a head coach at Maryland, but he was a player at Maryland. They say he came in as a 190-pound quarterback. I don't know if I buy that. He became an offensive lineman for the Terrapins, however, and then worked as an assistant under Bobby Ross at Maryland, part of a really excellent staff. And then with George O'Leary at Georgia Tech, and now the head man of the Terrapins. And they are happy to have him.
Well, I tell you, he thinks like a quarterback and runs an offense like a quarterback.
That 190-pound quarterback, though, that's about 160 pounds ago, I think.
Well, that was in high school.
Yeah, that's true. Hill going to throw a deep fade on the near side. Stretching out, incomplete is Scooter Monroe. Let's check in with Swanee.
Well, Brad, Chris Ricks has a cut on his chin. You see the ice bag is still on the back of his neck, and he plans on going back in according to their trainer, Randy Ovitz. But what they want is Adrian McPherson to warm up just in case they decide he should not go back into the ballgame.
I think Chris Ricks has played well so far, not made any mistakes, and that's the key thing on an aggressive defense like Maryland's.
3rd down and 7 here for the Maryland quarterback, Sean Hill. Missed his last 3 passes. He might not get a chance for this one. He's going to have to run it. I think he got the first down.
Well, he got past the 30-yard line.
That's
so
all he needed.
That's it.
He got 8 on 3rd and 7. Last week he had over 100 yards rushing, and he's really kind of deceptively quick. He's a big guy, but he's about a 4.65 type of runner.
Yes.
And here he picks up the needed yardage for the first down.
You know, it's a deadly combination. He can throw the ball in a good passing scheme, and he also can run the option. Anytime you can run an option and drop back pass, then you get the defense nightmares.
And he's tough as an old pair of boots. There's what he did last week. From the 31. First down, he'll work from the gun. Give it off inside. Riley took a big pop after he got about 3. Kevin Emanuel's on the bottom of that pile, along with Bradley Jennings, the linebacker. We want to congratulate Joe Paterno. I know Joe's not watching this game right now. He's probably a little bit busy, and Sue's probably making pasta and lasagna all over the place. But Joe Paterno, the old lion, just passed the grizzled old bear today. So we want to congratulate our old friend Joe Paterno. Back-to-back victories now, and he's alone on top of the heap. The all-time Division 1A coaching wins. And Bobby Bowden, if he can win this one today, he'll move into the number 3 spot in front of Glenn Pop Warner.
And we know it's been a long time coming for Joe, but it was very sweet.
Yep.
Proud of him. Jennings comes off the field. Looks like he's got an ankle or something.
He was in on that stop. One of the leaders, one of the captains of the defense. 2nd down and 6 now for Maryland. Just inside its own 35-yard line. And they've got the freshman in there that works from a slot. And the option straight ahead is a fullback, and he's gone.
There's the option.
Lynch straight ahead. The big fella's going to rumble for a touchdown. 65 yards, a career high, and James Lynch was pulling all 261 pounds as fast as he could go. That's why the option drives you crazy. You start worrying about those little scat backs, and here comes the big guy.
Well, here's a scat back, and here's a halfback here, but the fullback is right here in the middle, and he's just going to come straight up the gut. The option goes to the fullback. Everybody runs by him. This guy runs by him. Those 2 guys have run by him.
By the time they knew he had it, it was too late. Extra point by Novak is good. And Maryland jumps out on top.
This is a formation right here. These guys run by him. This is a formation that they have shown, and they run the option one way or the other. Now they come out the first time they show the formation. The fullback gets it and goes all the way.
And you could see Abdul Howard didn't even know that Lynch had this ball. He ran right by him.
Yeah. He was running over to help on the outside. It's a good offensive scheme that carries out the fake. Fullback up the middle.
And Bob and Brad, that's one of the things about the option I have found that most quarterbacks really miss the picture on in terms of leaving that ball in there. You see a lot of quarterbacks who don't want to ride with that fullback as they come to the line of scrimmage and then pull it out the last minute. And that time, Hill just left that ball in all the way he's been doing it most of this ball game, so no one could see the fact that he was going to leave it there and not take it out.
Normally the fullbacks get that little bit of sugar spread on them from about the 3-yard line, and last week Lynch had his first career touchdown. This one's even sweeter.
James Lynch is not a big part of this offense insofar as catching the ball and running the ball. He's a big part of the blocking and all that other stuff. But here, Ralph Friedgen, the offense says we got to do something that we haven't shown. So we're going to give it to the fullback and first big touchdown of the game.
You know one thing, James can carry that weight.
He's a fire plug. Looks like a 5'11", about 260?
Yeah, a little over 260. And Mickey Andrews not happy, the defensive coordinator for Florida State. And he says, you know, you can talk assignment football all you want against the option, but you still got to tackle people. They didn't tackle James Lynch. Thorpe takes it 5 yards deep, backpedals and takes a knee, and they'll work from the 20-yard line. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Valvoline's Max Life, the first motor oil formulated for higher mileage engines. Sprint PCS, the clear alternative to cellular. And new Nivea for Men Aftershave Balm, or evolved skincare. From the capital of the state of Florida, Tallahassee, we welcome you, along with our ABC crew, Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, Lynn Swan with you. And Florida State, never having lost at home in conference play, is down a touchdown with a minute 34 to go in the first quarter. Jones out to about the 29. Marlon Moyer-Moore made the tackle.
Go back to the touchdown. That's Gerald Hudson. He's the middle linebacker. He was in there for Jennings, who was out on the last play. Gerald Hudson is 6'3" and 277 pounds. Now they had size to stop Lynch. He just didn't find him.
That's right. Wrong spot. Second down, a yard. And McPherson gives off to Jones again. And Greg Jones, who had over 100 yards rushing last week, gets 4 more and gets a first down. He's the power of the two. Maddox is kind of a jitterbug type of runner that sometimes makes cuts he doesn't have to make. Jones doesn't worry about it. He just plows straight ahead.
Yeah, and they fare just about equally through the first 6 games.
I don't want to say it's windy at Doak Campbell today, but all our stuff in the booth's flying around.
It's gusty. The flags are just standing out straight out.
We could just have a strong enough wind to blow our stat man out of here. We'd have something. Actually, Pat's trying to help me over here. Keep things planted. Jones running right and going down for a loss. Charles Hill got over there to make the stop. And -2 on that carry for Jones.
Stop was made by number 98.
There's Charles Hill, a senior out of Palmer Park, Maryland. They got a lot of Maryland players starting on this team, as you might guess.
I think 9 of the 11 on defense are from Maryland.
The only guy on the Florida State team from Maryland is their defensive tackle, Dockett. And Chris Ricks is warming up. So apparently he's all right and will be ready to come back in when needed. End of the first quarter, though. Undefeated Maryland on top 7-0. ABC Sports presentation of college football continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
A great slugger we haven't got.
A great pitcher we haven't got.
A great ball club we haven't got. What have we got? We've got heart. All you really need is heart. When the odds are saying you'll never win, that's when the grit should start. Now you're getting the idea.
Baseball Tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
I'm Dan Patrick here in the ESPN Radio Chopper. Radio marketing is all about promotions. That's why we're blanketing the country with these ESPN radio bats. We've got live sporting events. We've got call-in shows. You can log on to ESPNradio.com and find out more about stations in your area. Or you can listen online. So tune in. And if you happen to catch one of these bats, enjoy!
You gotta have fun. A little bit of celebrating does not bother me.
The game itself is fun. These are great athletes playing the game of football. That's a celebration. That's fun.
That's because you ain't got no rhythm, man.
It's about individuality, Chris.
It's called professional football. Act like a professional.
Stop talking about professional and organized and disciplined. They're kids. Let the kids have some fun. We'll show you some fun.
Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Something Florida State hopes to lean on in this second quarter as they're down 7 to open the second stanza. 94-14 they've outscored their opponents in the second quarter.
And they have not played well in the third quarter. Bobby Bowden was telling us yesterday, and they hope to improve on that today, but this has been their quarter.
Adrian McPherson, the freshman, remains in at quarterback as you saw Chris Ricks on the sideline. And a second down at 12. Greg Jones behind him, and a 2 tight end set for the Noles. McPherson, play fake, comes up throwing high, but caught. Nice grab out there. That's good to see. It's a true spell. He dropped a couple, and he picks up 13 and a first down.
And he just did his quarterback a big favor because that ball was high and wide. Single coverage on the outside. He makes the break, should throw it outside toward the sideline. He throws it upfield and high. And he made a nice catch, but he took the punishment for it too. And as you say, nice catch for A. Trues. He's dropped a couple.
Former walk-on in '97. Now one of the captains. That's a great success story. Kind of a rags to riches deal. From the 44, McPherson in trouble, and down he goes. That's the second sack of the day, and it's Charles Hill again, the nose tackle. Hill's having a good first half.
This is a defensive line, as we said, that just kind of takes up blockers and lets the linebackers get most of the glory. This is only Hill's second sack of the year. He knows his spot.
He didn't play football until he was a junior in high school. Hill was a basketball player.
Of course, Gary Blackney does a great job with this scheme and this defense.
Referred to Ralph Friedgen by George O'Leary. Ralph's old boss at Georgia Tech. Greg Jones, the carry. Florida State has done a pretty good job running the football. 6-yard pickup for number 6. George O'Leary had told Ralph Friedgen, he's the best secondary coach in the country, Gary Blackney, get him as your defensive coordinator. The problem was they go to Georgia Tech, they beat him, and George said, if I'd have thought he was going to be that good, I would have never referred him.
That's right. That's right.
Third down and 11.
He is intense, and that's the way his defense plays. Boy, they'll get after you. They disrupt and confuse and attack.
They'll be attacking McPherson here in the shotgun on a third down and 11. They're loading up. Look at all the white shirts. Here they come. Screen pass thrown high. That could have been very dangerous. And in the meantime, Nick Maddox almost got his head taken off as his quarterback floated one out there.
And Riddles, number 33, saw it coming all the way. Riddles is the backup safety and the dime back. That's the 6th back on that coverage. He saw the screen pass. He saw the little loop. Boy, I tell you, that's the way to get your...
Nothing little about that hit.
See, that's inexperience at the quarterback position, because a quarterback shouldn't do that to a receiver on a screen like that.
I would think Chris Ricks would be out the next time with the offense for Florida State. And Gwaltney's got a punt. All the possessions have ended in punts. Gwaltney to kick. He's going to throw. Got a man open, but he overshot it. So they run a fake punt on 4th and 11. He had a man clear, but he overshot Patrick Newton. Well, Bobby pulled one out of his bag of tricks, but it backfired.
Yeah, and you have to do it when it's not expected either. They're trying to get it to this man right here. They're going to snap it deep. And right here, he slips right there. It's not an easy throw. He throws it upfield instead of the receiver was going across field, and he throws it upfield.
Patrick Newton, the backup defensive back's the guy they try to sneak out there.
Now, see, that's a tough throw. You can't see, especially for a punter.
Yeah.
You can't see over the line, and you don't know how deep, how far down the field to go.
At the 42, the option. Chad Killian on the carry. 12:57 left in the half. Maryland by 7. And our Dodge drive summary. Maryland's had it 3 times. They've got 1 touchdown, and it was their big fullback, 65 yards. Off the lead option, and that's the only score of the ballgame.
Now, Florida State's had it 4 times, and they've punted 3 of those 4. Then they just did that fake punt, which gave great field position for Maryland.
And it puts some pressure on the Noles defense because Maryland's in their territory with a 2nd and 9, and they come with a blitz. Jennings and Boulware were both coming, and Hill got the pass off complete.
That's just a great play there.
Julian Gary might be a little bit short of the first down, but what looked like it could have been a catastrophe for the quarterback, bought himself some time and threw it out there.
Well, here's a look on the outside, the recovery, the receiver coming down, running an outside. That's a good job by the receiver to place himself between the defensive back and the ball so the defensive back can't get it. The quarterback, nice job of getting rid of it.
And straight ahead on the quarterback sneak. Looks like a first down for Hill. Penn State, there's that victory over Ohio State, so back-to-back wins, and Joe Paterno, the Lion, passes the Bear. Miami Thursday night looked pretty good again.
You know, Joe's glad to get those 2 wins and get back to some kind of normalcy where people aren't saying, well, you tie or you go to, next one, you are winning us all time. Now they're going to be talking about Bobby.
Yep. shook up where the BCS ranking is going to be with Virginia Tech and Oklahoma both losing today. On the option. And again, they go with the lead guy, and Killian fighting for yardage. Junior from Pittsburgh doesn't play all that much, got 6 yards.
Killian, the backup fullback, and for anybody that knows anything about an option, the first thing if you're going to run an option is you got to establish the inside, the fullback inside, and defensively, that's the first thing you got to stop an option.
And they have done that with the fullbacks today. One a 260-pounder, and that guy about 248. Second down and 4. Maryland driving into Florida State territory again. Another option. They just are going to tell Florida State, until you stop our fullback, you're going to get a mouthful of him.
Yep.
And Lynch again. Boulware made the stop.
Stop was made by number 58.
I think one of the reasons they're able to run so well and effectively inside is because of their big center, number 67, Melvin Fowler Jr. at 6'3", 297. And this guy is one of the great leaders. He is the only senior on that offensive line. They look to him for leadership. He makes all the calls, and the coaches say, we don't worry about whether or not Fowler gets his block. We can always rely on him.
He's a good one. Third down and a yard. Tight end will move. And now set up in a 2 tight end formation, and Hill, this is a keeper all the way for him, and the quarterback's into the secondary, and he's got a first down near the 11-yard line. Abdul Howard ran him out of bounds, but big Sean Hill, a 220-pound senior out of Parsons, Kansas, has got a first down.
I don't think the people in Parsons, Kansas aren't proud of this young man.
All 12,000 of them.
Yeah, 12,000 people. They're probably watching right now. Little option down the line. The quarterback keeps it for the first down. How important was it for Maryland to come in here and score the first touchdown on that option a little while ago?
There's their red zone efficiency, and they're in it just outside the 11. They can get a first down inside the Florida State 2. Here's a long stretch handoff, and Riley got about 4. Chris Hope made another tackle from the secondary. Penalty marker on the play. So this drives 3 more minutes, and again, it's after the fake punt, and this penalty is going to go against Maryland.
It's unusual that this is the 3rd penalty against Maryland. Florida State's only been flagged 1 time for 5 yards. Florida State annually the most penalized.
Holding on the offense. 10 yards. Replay first down.
Is that the first penalty against Maryland?
That's the 3rd.
3rd penalty against Maryland.
3rd. Now they've got 35 yards in penalties, and Florida State only has 5 yards on 1 penalty.
So first down and 20 back at the 21. 4 receiver grouping for Hill. Fires, got it complete at about the 15 and lost some yardage after the catch. Jafar Williams. Bradley Jennings, who's back out there at linebacker, made the stop.
Williams just let the receivers, the inside receivers, go deep, and he was running a crossing route. Jennings made a nice play, recognizing it and making the tackle.
Another penalty against Maryland. And I think Florida State is going to take this because they want to back them out as far as they can and take them out of field goal range if they can hold for a couple of downs.
Illegal formation. Not enough men on the offensive line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Will replay the down.
Ralph will let you know about where you lined up and where you didn't line up.
He's pretty upset. From the get-go, it was discipline and organization and accountability, and he doesn't tolerate much of this stuff.
Perry in motion, option, play fake. Hill in trouble. Got rid of it, and he got it complete. He took a pasting, and then so did the wide receiver. And that was Rich Parson, the freshman, that made the catch.
The thing that Hill does is just keeps it alive. It was a busted play. It was damage in the backfield, and he reversed his field, avoided the sack, and just gets rid of it.
There's Parson, 22. They really like him. Came in as a tailback, but they use him as a slot man and a receiver. And he made a tough catch and took a big shot from Stanford Samuels. Got 5 yards back. Still second down and 20. Florida Florida State fans trying to come up to life for their defense here. Here's a screen out to Williams. That didn't get much either, maybe a yard.
Yeah, that was the old wide receiver screen.
Late flag. Let's see if we're going to have a personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct over there. There was a little action going on away from the ball, and it's on Florida State.
That was Donnell Dockett, Brad. He was over there talking to one of the players, getting right in his face, had his back to the official. The official saw what was going on. It's been going on for most of the ball game, and that time he got the flag.
Darnell is the only Maryland native on the Florida State team out of Burtonsville, which is about 10 miles from the Maryland campus, and he's maybe woofing a little bit down there with some guys from Maryland, and he got caught, and he's coming out.
Yep.
That's what happens. And an automatic first down.
Now that's huge. That is huge. Had him backed up. Second, third and long. And commit a foul that gives him a first down.
Just inside the 11-yard line. To get a first down, they'd almost have to get a touchdown. But here they are, knocking on the door again, leading by 7 with 8:20 left in the quarter. Perry. Boy, Bradley Jennings, since he came back out, has been involved in about 80% of the tackles. He normally is, but he's having quite a quarter here, number 44.
This is just going to be a running play up inside. Let's go ahead and run it. Corners are single coverage on the outside. If you want to throw the football, you can get it into the end zone.
They'll stay in an eye backfield on second down and 8. Now the option. Killian got popped 2 or 3 times for his efforts. Got a yard, maybe 2. And that's going to bring up third down.
Florida State defensively is not off that much from last year's numbers. They've got a lot of young guys, as you see another one of their, who's that? Emmanuel, number 90. They had a lot of injuries coming into the ball game, and now they're starting to get some more during this game.
Just when they had started to get their defensive line back healthy, they got one going down there with 7:24. We'll check on Kevin Emmanuel when we come back.
The Sports Center is live 4 times a day, but that doesn't mean the other 7 broadcasts are straight repeats. Well, here, look. In this live show, Brian Kenny has his pen in his right hand, but in the rebroadcast, I put the pen in his different hand. And here, then, Linda Cohn is presenting with John Anderson, but in the rebroadcast, I've replaced John with El Macho Borracho, the winningest cockfighter in all of Mexico. It's all about keeping it fresh. That's what I do.
The games will come to an end this weekend, but that doesn't mean you have to leave the worldwide leader in sports at home. Because the news, interviews, and analysis from your favorite ESPN personalities continues all day, every day, on over 600 radio stations nationwide. Check your local listings to find the ESPN radio station near you. ESPN Radio. Take it with you.
Get into the zone, the ESPN Zone, the ultimate sports dining and entertainment experience. Eat great food, watch any game that you want, and compete in our sports arena. ESPN Zone, what more do you need? Visit the Zone in Baltimore's Inner Harbor, in downtown Chicago, in New York's Times Square, in Atlanta's Buckhead District, and in downtown Washington, D.C. Get into the zone.
Time for our Aflac trivia question this week. Name the 4 Atlantic Coast Conference teams that have won a national championship. You think it over, we'll give you the answer a little bit later on in the quarter. Third down. 11th play of the drive, 3rd and 6. Kevin Emmanuel was helped off the field. Looks like he's going to be okay. Florida State looking to come up with a big defensive stop here. Hill running out of time. Got rid of it. Completes it. Not in the end zone, and I don't know if it's a first down either. I said they had to get inside the 1 to get a first down. Kendall Pope holding on for dear life, and this might be one we have to measure. Either way, they're that far away from the goal line. That part we know.
Well, you were right. When they were first down back on the 11th, inside the 11-yard line, you said they could get it, but it would almost be a touchdown. Looks downfield, and then he comes out to his outlet. This is Perry, the little swinging out of the backfield. That's going to be pretty close.
Woo, that close. That's 2 chain links. It's 4th down and 2 links.
These are calls that Ralph didn't have to make last year.
They're going to go for it. They're bringing out some extra beef.
I think it's a good call because if you don't make it, you still leave Florida State down there backed up in their own end zone.
They got 2 fullbacks out there, Fiddler and Lynch. Lynch is the big one, 260. He's got the only touchdown so far. He'll line up in the backfield with Riley. Remember, you got a 221-pound quarterback, too. 4th down, inches. Hill. Did he make it? No signal from the officials.
How in the world can you find out where that ball is?
You got me. Ron Cherry's the referee. Everybody's in there. Florida State saying they held. And they did. Apparently, they put the ball down at about the 1-foot line. There's the ball.
Now that looks to me like it's going to be far enough to be a first down. I mean, they didn't have to get a touchdown.
That's true. That's true. The linesman's put it down.
Yeah.
You talk about an inexact science right now.
Well, you know what we're looking at from right here, this camera angle is the same angle that the line judge and the linesman on the other side of the field have. And when all those players come in and block their view, how do you know?
They got it.
Yeah.
They needed 2 lengths, and they got 2/3 of the football.
Yeah, I mean, how can, you know, the guy that's got the best shot is the umpire, who's just to the left.
I actually think that was a pretty good spot because he almost got to the goal line. And I mean almost. You can see how close it is. It's inches short, and it's 1st and goal Maryland, leading by a touchdown. Same play here or not? Nope, option this time. Dangerous, but they get it to Riley, and he scores. 1-yard touchdown by Mark Riley, and Maryland's in front 13-0.
Maryland's has been very impressive. And this is exactly what Ralph Friedgen wanted. He says, we're not going down. We're not going to be hesitant. We're going to go down. We're going to play loose. We're going to go at them. We're going to take our shots with the option, and we're going to just try to get it in.
So Nick Novak will come in for the point after as a backup tailback and a big old fullback have done the damage so far with the touchdowns. Novak for the point after. Up and good. And maybe no longer is Maryland a surprise. 6:16 left. That's a happy turtle. It's 14-0 Maryland.
But baseball, it's market time. This field, this game, it's part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good. It could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Baseball Tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
I can still feel his hooks in my ribs and taste the leather from his uppercuts. So why should I get out of the corner? Because I'd gladly take another 3 minutes of pain for a shot at a title. Wouldn't you?
Friday Night Fights on ESPN2.
Sweet!
Well, 10% discount.
Guys, sorry, you're not the game day band.
We are the game day band.
And we're back. Big Ten football.
College Game Day, Thursday nights at 7 on ESPN.
Our Pacific Life game summary in this one. It's been defense by Maryland. We told you they'd swarm after the football. They would cause confusion and collision, and they have done both to both quarterbacks. Ricks took a big shot in the chin and the neck right there, and McPherson, it's been no easier for Adrian as he's been hassled and rattled and sacked. And so far, Florida State's been unable to muster any kind of offense against that Maryland D. And Gary Blackney, the defensive coordinator, former head coach at Bowling Green, and his team is bowling them over right now.
They are, and the one gamble, the one trick play that Bobby Bowden tried, the fake punt pass, gave them great field position, and they took that drive right in and scored the second touchdown.
We were talking to Gary Blackney the other day, and he said the more I learned about offense as a head coach, the better I became as a defensive coach because of it. And it's showing up. Rafonso Thorpe from 2 yards deep will bring it. And the freshman's out across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. Our Aflac trivia question for you a few minutes ago. Name the 4 ACC teams that have won a national championship. We gave you time to think it over. Florida State a couple of times, Georgia Tech in 90, Clemson in 81 under Danny Ford, and Maryland in 1953.
It's the first year of the ACC. And you knew when we asked these questions, it's got something to do with the teams that are playing. So.
I just can't get that. I got 3 of them last night at the meeting, and the Maryland's the one I left out. Here's Ricks back in at quarterback. Play action. Chris lofts one out. Javon Walker came down with it.
I don't think, did he come back?
Yes, he did at the 47.
All right.
Probably helped that he made the catch right in front of the Florida State bench.
Jumping around a little bit. Says he's all right. Got press coverage. He's got help to the inside. That's Walker. Yeah, I can't see from that.
He went up and made a play, and Henderson took a crack at Ricks here after he let go of the football. First down, though. First big play of the day.
Ricks was looking down, though, to see whether it was complete or not.
There's a shot. Good throw. Good throw is right. Tallman Gardner. Now, that's more like it. The tendency for Chris Ricks in the past few weeks, Bob, and we've seen a lot of them, is sailing the football a little bit. That one he threw in there.
That's a good point. That's a good point. When he misses, he usually misses high, roughing the quarterback on Maryland.
Well, they almost got him the play before. That time they did catch him.
Interesting, when Florida State gets down by 2 touchdowns, here's the hit.
Yeah, that one's a little late.
When Florida State gets down by 2 touchdowns, what do? They come out and they throw to the corners, to the outside receivers.
So you add that on to the penalty, and that moves it all the way down inside the 20. So now Bobby Bowden's team's got something going on. Bobby's got a little bit of the safari look going there today, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
In the red zone.
That other hat didn't work at home.
No,
so
that's true.
Something new.
He's getting kind of sick of us, too. He's 0-2 under Swan, Greasy, and Nessler. Ricks from the gun. Thrown outside. Down to about the 11-yard line, Tallman Gardner. Jerome Cox was there on the corner defensively, a pickup of 6. So plenty of time here for Florida State to get back in the game, but they trail by 2 touchdowns.
Offensive line giving him nice protection. Trying to get the ball outside to the wide receivers so they can make a play. This Florida State offense has always had wide receivers that can move.
Javon Walker's back in. He's to the top of your screen and penalty marker.
Yeah, he jumped because you saw the linebackers were coming up, threatening to come, and that plays with the offensive lineman's mind as well as the quarterback.
5 yards.
Bob and Brad, this is traditionally where Chris Ricks has a problem controlling the turnovers in his football game. Down inside the 20-yard line, he's got to be extraordinarily focused. The field is much tighter. He really has to protect the football, use his mind, make the smart decision.
You're right, Swanee. He had a turnover at the 10 and in the end zone last week on interceptions. Don't want to give it up here with a chance to score. Thinking about a safety blitz, 2nd and 9. Throws, Gardner, touchdown. Tallman Gardner on a slant, and the Noles are on the board.
That's a big throw for him.
That was a good one.
Somebody right in his face. He just ignored him, let the ball go. This is a big score for Florida State. They needed to come right back and answer.
Bethia in for the point after. And he's up and good with it. With 4 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the first half. Chris Ricks battered and beaten, but throws a strike to Gardner. And Seminoles are on the board.
All right, Mike, hour 32 of ESPN Radio's Hands on the Heisman contest continues, and so far we don't see any quit in any of these contestants.
Except for me. They quit soon. 32 hours. This is amazing how long they can stand there, let alone stand with their legs and then hang on to something as well. It's very impressive so far. I couldn't do this.
It's not so much the endurance, it's the ability to withstand the boredom. For a check of the ESPN radio station near you, go to espnradio.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff Kent, and I'm here to talk about ESPN the magazine. You know, when they first asked me to do this, I was pretty excited. They could have had just about any athlete. So to choose me is really something. It's humbling to be able to give something back. So all you young players out there, listen up. ESPN the magazine is only $1 an issue. They'll even throw in a free fleece.
That's right, Jeff.
Every
when you call 1-800-504-6644, you'll get 26 issues for just $1 an issue. So call 1-800-504-6644.
Thanks for listening to me.
There's only one neighborhood where the legends compete in the greatest games in history, ESPN Classic. Only ESPN Classic has the greatest games from the NFL, baseball, NBA, NHL, NASCAR, and fights from the largest boxing library in the world. Call 1-800-CLASSIC to get all your favorite classic sports. Plus, Sports Century, the Emmy and Peabody Award-winning series that profiles the top 50 athletes of all time and beyond. To get ESPN Classic, call 1-800-CLASSIC today.
Go back and take a look at the touchdown pass. Gardner's out here. He's just going to run a little slant, and Ricks is going to hit him inside the corner. Gets inside with a nice release. He fits it through about 3 or 4 Maryland players. That's a big play. It's a big answer, and it's a big play for Chris Ricks to bring him back.
Tallman Gardner, whose grandmother passed away 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he has dedicated the rest of the season to her. And he's got 5 touchdown catches this year. That was a big one. Stein to kick. And Rich Parson, as the wind blows the ball off the tee, will be the deep man for Maryland. There's the true freshman. They really like this kid, as we said. Part tailback, part slot man, part wide receiver.
Yep. Only 4 true freshmen have played this year for Maryland, and he's one of them.
And the kick goes out of the corner, touchback, and Maryland will work from the 20 with 4 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in the half. 14-7 as we check in Times Square Stadium in New York. And John.
All right, Brad, thanks a lot. As we look out in the Pac-10, this is a UCLA defense that hadn't given up more than 17 points in a game this year. They've given up 21 to Stanford. Brian Allen, 35 yards on that run. It's 21-7 right now. And Stanford also has just had an interception. Michigan and Iowa, 10-0, the Hawkeyes with the lead.
A lot of guys going from that undefeated status to once defeated status.
Upset Saturday, huh?
Yep. And intercepted. Michael Boulware, Florida State, touchdown. What a great individual play by Boulware. We saw him score a touchdown a couple of weeks ago on a fumble return. He snatches that interception for the score.
It's like old times around here again when the defense scores. It's been a long time. I think they only had 1 defensive score coming into the ball game this year.
And that was him. And now they got 2, and it's still him. Xavier Bethia to try to tie it up, and does. Just like that, the perennial champs don't go away.
He's going to get outside the pocket here. Mickey Andrews was telling us that Boulware does this as well as Derek Brooks. He's going to cut right inside of him. Derek Brooks was the great All-American and now All-Pro with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he says Boulware can cover as well as Derek Brooks could.
What a great catch.
This is exactly what this team needed to get them back going. The defense needs to step up and make some plays.
Swanee, I know you got a good story about Mickey Andrews and that kid.
Well, Mickey told us that Boulware used to be a wide receiver and that he'd be a better linebacker if he got some of that wide receiver out of his system. Then we saw him pick one up a few weeks ago and run it in against Miami. Now he catches one like a good wide receiver, makes a good cut to the ball, catches it and goes into the end zone. I'm starting to think good wide receivers could be great linebackers.
There you go.
Yeah, put on that 50 number, Swanee, and just make some tackles.
I'm too small for a number.
So we're all tied. Here's the kick. Parson camps under this one, and he'll take a knee. And Maryland again from the 20. Just seconds ago we said that, and just that quickly Boulware has tied the game. We said that it's going to be a shakeup next week in the BCS. Coming in, this is how it looked. Oklahoma was on top. Obviously, that's going to change.
They've lost.
As Nebraska beat them. UCLA is down 14 points right now. Virginia Tech lost.
They've lost.
Bob's doing the check marks for us.
Yeah, checking them off.
Here's the rest of the top 10. Maryland still undefeated, and they were 8th coming into the day. We didn't quite get a chance to see it, but that's where they are in the top 10 of the BCS. They're trying to hold on for dear life now after being up 14 points, and Florida State has stormed back to tie it. And there's the rest of the top 10. Texas, Michigan trailing Iowa by 10 right now. Maryland, Tennessee, and Washington State, one of the shocking teams under Coach Price as well.
Yep. You know, it's Maryland defensively that came in leading the nation in turnovers and takeaways, and it's Florida State that gets the first big one and turns it into a touchdown to tie the game.
Second down and 6. Doak Campbell starting to rock a little bit like it normally does. Under 4 minutes in the half. Sean Hill flares it out and drops. Perry had 15 yards of green in front of him. He just didn't hold it.
Yeah, and what was going so easily for Maryland now with those 2 plays by the Seminoles, they're kind of struggling. Perry had caught 3 balls for 21 yards and should have caught this one.
And now you wonder if there's a little bit of a crack in that confidence, because here come the Seminole fans.
That's a good point. That's a great point. I think the confidence on the other side of the field was sky high until those 2 touchdowns got Seminoles back in the ballgame.
Kind of gives you chills to hear that again, doesn't it? Crowd is rocking the place on 3rd and 6. Hill throws out on the flat, and the defense has done it again. Boulware and Tatum out there, and they'll force a kick. Florida State's going to get it back.
Yeah, you got plenty of time. 3 minutes, 28 seconds left.
I think we're going to have a timeout here with 3:28 remaining in the quarter. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge, America's dairy farmers. The power of cheese. FedEx, shipping at FedEx.com. It's fast, it's easy, and it just got cheaper. And Thrifty Car Rental. Great cars, great rates at over 1,200 locations worldwide. Thrifty Car Rental. Tallahassee, Florida. Chief Osceola and Renegade a little bit happier right now because FSU scored 14 points in 13 seconds and have tied this game up here late in the second quarter at 2 touchdowns apiece. 4th and 4 coming up for Maryland. And that's Brooks Bernard, their punter.
And he's one of the best in the country. I think he ranks 3rd in the nation. Florida State's got to make a decision whether to try and block or return the punt. They've blocked a couple already this year.
Bernard got the kick away. Dominique Robinson running around, found himself a little bit of room across the 40. Nice field position for Florida State now. They've got plenty of time to work. And they have 2 timeouts remaining with 3:16 left in the half. Coming up, the Capital One halftime show. John Saunders and Terry Biden from Times Square Stadium in New York. John and Terry will have all the scores and highlights from what we are talking about is kind of an upset Saturday so far. Long way to go. A lot of football left today and tonight. But there are some teams that went in with a 0 in the loss column that don't have one anymore.
Yeah.
Chris Ricks, I think, played pretty well. He's been knocked down and beat up, but he threw a touchdown pass. And he's hung in there. And the first 4 possessions was pretty much all punts and then a fake punt. But the last possession was a 73-yard march for a touchdown.
And the other boost for an offense and for a quarterback that's young and struggling is for the defense or special teams
to make a play,
to step up and help us along, you know.
And Boulware did that in one swift stroke. Chris Ricks is 7 of 10 here in the first half. From just inside the 46, the Seminoles will keep it on the ground. Maddox on a draw, broke one tackle, didn't break the second. Got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Tyrone Stewart is the guy that forced him, came from the secondary. He tiptoed around, lost his shoe, and got back to the 45.
See, that's an area where maybe Chris Ricks, when he gets a little bit more maturity, when he sees the defensive linebackers blitz and he knows he's got a draw play going over, maybe that play is not going to be good against that defense. He'll check it off. But now he's got other things on his mind.
4 wideouts for him from the shotgun. Ricks fires a slant. We're going to see a flag. Yes, we are. Javon Walker interfered with by Jerome Cox. And the field judge threw that flag about 20 yards. That'll be the 6th penalty of the day against Maryland.
The Terrapins have 3 corners they usually rotate in.
Pass interference on the defense. That's a spot foul. Automatic first down.
And remember, with Tony Okonlawon not here, that takes one of their corners away.
Exactly. Cox and Wilson have to do most of the duty. It looks like he hit him a little bit early.
Right there, he's got the right arm wrapped around, too. That's why the field judge threw that, because he saw that arm from way back there.
That's a nice call.
And a first down, just a yard inside of Maryland territory.
Here they come.
Ricks in trouble, and down he goes. Tyrone Stewart from the secondary again. That's back-to-back times he's made a play. One on Maddox, and now a sack, the 3rd of the day for the Terps.
See, this is what a young quarterback's got to see. Got to see this guy right here. He's got to be able to see him. He's lined up over that receiver, but he's looking in, and he's coming. Now you got to check to see if he comes, and if he does come, you got to get rid of the ball.
They've got 25 sacks on the season now, and I think 19 of them have come from either linebackers or guys in the secondary. Ricks steps up, fires, got a man out there, and it's Thorpe, and the freshman broke a tackle.
He's got speed.
Alonzo Thorpe down the side, inside the 20. And it's 1st and goal, Seminoles. They've been waiting for number 1 to make a big play like that, and he just did.
You may be seeing the start of the new Seminoles right here. Chris Ricks becoming of age, and the young freshman Thorpe and the other young ones.
Walker and Ward got some blocks for him after the catch.
As we watch this play unfold, Bob, and we watch a receiver make a catch and everybody comes together, I'm thinking this is a situation where you have to put the ball in the hands of a quarterback like Ricks. This is how he grows up.
There ain't no question about that.
51-yard grab inside the 10. It's 1st and goal, Florida State. Ricks, the slant. Tolman Gardner, touchdown. His 2nd of the day.
And Chris Ricks is saying right now, is it always this easy? I think that ball was tipped.
I thought it was going to get intercepted, to be honest with you. It had enough on it to get there. And Florida State has struck 3 times to take the lead. Bathia's extra point is perfect. Right where the shade meets the sun is where I thought that ball was tipped.
Yeah. He's going to throw the ball over here. Watch as this man right here is going to get a piece of it.
That's Whaley, isn't it, the linebacker?
Yeah, you got the blitz.
Right there.
There's tipped. You can see it. The ball was just coming down sideways, but it didn't knock it off course.
Right there, Chip. The trajectory changed a little bit, and Garner was still in the right spot.
Are things going right for the Seminoles here, or what?
Tallman Gardner's second touchdown catch. This a 9-yarder off a tip ball.
Normally, when you get a tip ball, it doesn't continue on the same trajectory in the same plane.
There's a happy quarterback.
Yes, sir.
54 yards in just 5 plays.
You need some good things to happen to these young kids to develop the quarterbacks and the receivers and those types of things. It's been tough, and it's really tough against an aggressive defense like the Terrapins have.
21 points in just under 3 minutes. And there's number 21. He got 14 of them. Rather, 12 of them. 2 touchdown catches today and 6 for the season for Tallman Gardner. Stein to kick. A line drive taken at about the 8-yard line by Chris Downs. And he will be taken down at the 28-yard line. So 1:41 left for the Terrapins to try to muster something now as they're going to play from behind for the first time today. Big AFC Central showdown coming up on Monday Night Football. Jerome Bettis, the bus, will be rolling at Heinz Stadium. Only their second home game in the first Monday night visit to the new facility in Pittsburgh. Monday Night Football, 9 Eastern, right here on ABC. Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, and Lynn Swan with you from Tallahassee, where in 2 minutes and 57 seconds, the defending conference champions have taken the lead over the undefeated upstarts from College Park. Here's Perry, and he dropped another one. Kendall Pope was covering. Bruce Perry has dropped the last 2 passes thrown in his direction.
Yeah, now you got to. Ralph Friedgen's got to have a gut check with his players. You got to say, hey, we have never beaten this team. Last year, these players that were here, Friedgen wasn't there. They got beat like 59-6 or something like that. It's just not been good in this series for the Maryland Terrapins. They were up 14-0 and they were sailing. But now you want to know how their confidence level is. 2nd and 10.
Hill fires incomplete. Intended for Matt Murphy. Well, when Ralph Friedgen was being interviewed for the job, some of the players were involved too. Aaron Thompson was one of them, linebacker, and he said, Ralph said, he asked me the best question I ever was asked. How are you going to make us win when no one else could? And Ralph Friedgen said, first I'm going to teach you how not to lose and beat yourself.
Right. Eliminate turnovers, eliminate penalties, don't beat yourself, discipline, unforced errors like in tennis.
Hill in trouble. Got away on 3rd down, throws, and he completes it. Got it out to Jafar Williams for the first down and out of bounds. Picked up 11 on a 3rd and 10.
Just an outstanding play by Hill. Just keeping it alive till somebody gets open and then getting the ball in there. Defense is going to pressure him. He's getting a piece right here. He just avoids there.
Keeps his eyes downfield and just throws a rocket.
And the receiver came back to him.
So they moved it out to the 39-yard line. First down, Maryland. Hill floats one. It's intercepted by Chris Hope. Hope down the sideline. The defensive secondary captain still going. He might score. Hope inside the 5. It's a touchdown. They're going to bring it back, Bob, I think.
Well, initially, the official, because I was watching him, the back judge on the side didn't make a call. He didn't do anything.
He didn't do it till Hope got to the end zone almost. He is pointing at about the 39-yard line.
It's just a question of whether Hope's knee touched the ground after he picked off the interception.
And there you're going to see the disappointment on that guy. Not only a great player, a great academic student here at Florida State, set to graduate in 3.5 years. He just graduated about 61 yards for what he thought was a touchdown.
And he is probably if not the best, one of the best safeties in the country.
Here's another look.
Take a look, see if his knee touches the ground.
Bob and Brad, I was standing right next to it. His knee definitely did touch the ground. But the amazing thing was the official was in the position to make the call. He just didn't make the call.
He didn't make it, did he?
No, he just stood there. He looked, and even the players looked back at the official wondering, hey, he didn't make a call. He's still good, as if he missed the call.
Yeah, I was watching to see if he did anything, and he didn't mark the spot. He didn't wave his arms or anything.
Finally, the committee meeting is over.
The ruling on the field is that the player was down. The player was down. We have Florida State's ball at the point of the interception.
They made the right call.
Well, the good part about it is the Ron Cherry's crew got together and they made the right call. He's right.
Folks here obviously aren't going to be happy, but they don't get all the different looks that we do, and you can see his right knee is coming down, or rather left knee right there.
For sure. And the official, I don't know, the one to the left of the screen there did not make the call, but maybe the one in the center of the field saw it and did make it.
Either way, Chris Hope has his 8th career interception. And a big turnover there, and now Florida State, let's see what they're going to do. They got 1:09 to play with and 2 timeouts. Remember, they scored 3 touchdowns in 3 minutes. Bobby Bowden might put it in attack mode here. They're going to put about 9 seconds back on the clock as well.
Bobby wants some more time. All that time it took for him to run down the field, he wants all that those seconds back on the clock.
Chris has hit his last 6 for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
I'm wondering right now, how much rope do you give Chris Ricks? He's on a roll. Do you let him just go with it right at this point?
I think you do, Lynn. I don't think you take anything away from him right here.
They'll run the draw play inside, and that's going nowhere. That one hasn't worked today no matter what. Nick Maddox on the carry.
One of the things that's working is they're not playing a defense like they've played the last 2 weeks. Miami and Virginia tried to stop the passes to the outside. Now these guys, Maryland, are trying to stop the run with 8 guys, so you got single coverage on the outside receivers.
Ricks going to keep this one, try to get back to the line of scrimmage, and now this may change the complexion of how they want to do things, because it's now to 40 seconds. And it's 3rd down and long.
Well, Florida State has 2 timeouts left, and they're not taking them, so that may give you an indication. If they do hit one on this hurry-up offense, then they'd use it.
Tallman Gardner trots out there to the top of the screen. He's got the 2 touchdown catches today. Ricks wants to come back the other way, waits, and finally throws late, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Jerome Cox, and he's dragged down by B.J. Ward, one of the extra receivers.
Lynn asked me the question, and I said you got to let him go, but they have to grow up. You got to let them grow up sooner or later. You just hope they learn from their mistakes. He just throws this ball. He didn't even see. This is the Cox. Cox came back. He saw the defensive backs down the field, but Cox was short and came back to the ball to make his first interception of the year.
Now Maryland's got a chance for a couple of plays here, because they're on the Florida State side of the 50. Be it only about a foot on that side of the 50.
They're going into a wind. They're a pretty good breeze.
Hill buying himself some time. Sean throws on the runs, got a man open. It's his tight end, and he got decent yardage, close to a 1st down, out of bounds at about the 40 with 6 seconds left. They have time for one more quick out and try to bring out a field goal guy. Like you said, they're going into a pretty brisk wind here.
Yeah.
And for their kicker, his career long came in that game against Georgia Tech just to get to overtime, a 46-yarder.
Well, it's coming right from the top, whatever Sean Hill's going to do here.
Brad and Bob, just an odd thing about the wind you're talking about. At about the 30-yard line, the wind blows pretty solidly from left to right. But from the left 30-yard line going into the end zone, it actually is not blowing that hard. So he's not going to have much of a wind to throw against past that 30.
All right, he's got about 10 yards to get to that spot and 6 seconds to work with. They have, by the way, given them the 1st down. I said it was close. It was better than close. They got it inside the 40. Gary and Monroe and Whitmer, the wide receivers. Hill will step into the shotgun. He is going to throw the quick out, except his tight end dropped it. Now they've only got one play left.
Yeah, and this one you either throw into the end zone with a Hail Mary or you try to get it to your little back Perry and let him run it in.
And now they call a timeout. Hill trots out. Ralph Regent's not too happy. It looked like they had their field goal team out there. And now here comes their kicker. So they're going to give him a crack at a 56-57-yard field goal here.
I think everybody was out there but the kicker.
Yeah, they had all the protection. They didn't have a kicker and a holder.
I don't think he wanted to kick it.
There he is. Number 46, who became the big man on campus in that Georgia Tech game. Every time he's taken his first attempt of the day, he's missed it. One of the little tidbits that our ace statistician, the aforementioned Patrick McGrath, dug up this week. But this one, if he misses it, it's not going to be anything to sneeze at. This is 56, 57 yards.
Yeah, into some wind, and he's not kicked anything close to this. Probably making a note for halftime.
He's writing down what he's going to tell Lynn.
But this is, if you got a trick play, you call it here, but you wouldn't want to use it. You got to kick this thing kind of low to get it there. And
Florida State sure isn't putting anybody up there to block. They're not buying it.
They don't believe it.
They are not buying it. They'll give him a crack at it. There's the kick. And it wasn't too short.
Yeah, it wasn't too short.
Not a bad attempt. So wait a minute, penalty marker down. They roughed the kicker. Look at Darnell Dockett saying, I can't be called for another penalty. I already got one. And can't end on a defensive foul here if that's against Florida State.
Running into the kicker.
Running into the kicker.
5-yard penalty. Replay the down.
Uh-oh. And now he's got a crack at 51-52. That's a little easier. Yep, there's Darnell Dockett again.
Yeah, you got to call that. I mean, the guy's got his Dockett's trying to help him up.
He's holding him up like a bag of groceries, but he's going to give him another kick here.
Dockett weighs 285 pounds, and he's helping up the kicker and says, please get up. And now they're going to rush it a little bit.
Well, the last time we said he wasn't too far short. He's got 5 more yards to work. A 51-yard field goal attempt by Nick Novak to end the half. Kick on the way. That was a costly penalty. Field goal's good.
Oh, my goodness.
So Maryland got the last score of the second quarter, but they trail as they head to the locker room. Not by much, though. They gave Novak a second crack at it, and a career-long kick from 51 was right down the middle.
I would not want to be Darrell Dockett in that locker room right now.
They might dock him his scholarship. Let's check in with Lynn.
Well, Coach, that was a costly penalty towards the end. Going into the second half, where you continue to let your offense with Chris be very aggressive with the ball.
Yeah, we have to. We have to. It looks like we're going to have to throw it too. We thought we'd be able to move the ball out of our I formation, but it's funny. It's a good thing you got the shotgun in at times because we've moved it out of the shotgun.
Coach, thank you very much. We'll see you in the second half.
All right, fellas, halftime. Good game in the ACC. Florida State 21, Maryland 17. We'll be joining John Saunders and Terry Bodden at Times Square Stadium in New York for the Capital One halftime show after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Great arm. Who is that kid anyway?
Of course he's got a great arm, Buttermaker. He's the best athlete in the area. But you don't understand. That's Kelly Leak.
You guys talking about Kelly Leak?
Yeah.
That dude is a bad mother. Talking about a loan shark. I borrowed a nickel from him last week. He said if I can give him a dime by Friday, he'd break my arm.
That's su bandito.
Baseball Tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
Now, your first source for round-the-clock sports news is even better. The new ESPN News. A brand new look with the enhanced bottom line that's always on and lets you know what's ahead. Constant score updates and live in-game stats. Highlights, news conferences, analysis, and more. The new ESPN News is here.
They are Saturday's soldiers prepared for battle, fighting for every pass, every yard, every touchdown. Be part of the action with ESPN Game Plan, only on pay-per-view. It's maximum college football with over 100 extra games you can't see anywhere else. Catch all the top conferences. To be there, all you need to do is get ESPN Game Plan, only on pay-per-view. To order, call your local cable operator or 1-800-DIRECTV or 1-800-333-DISH. They are Saturday's soldiers, prepared for battle, fighting for every pass, every yard, every touchdown. Catch all this week's college football action with ESPN Game Plan. It's maximum college football with up to 12 games you can't see anywhere else, only on pay-per-view. To be there, all you need to do is get ESPN Game Plan, now available as pay-per-day. To order, call your local cable operator or 1-800-DIRECTV or 1-800-333-DISH.
Capital One Halftime Show, presented by Capital One, who asks, what's in your wallet? From Times Square Stadium in New York, John Saunders and Terry Bowden.
Welcome here to New York from the Capital One Halftime Show. John Saunders alongside of Terry Bowden. The marquee matchup of the day, Nebraska against Oklahoma. Number 2 against number 3 in the polls, but number 1 Oklahoma against number 2 Nebraska, according to the Bowl Championship Series standings. And this one would turn out to be as advertised. Coming out of the tunnel fired up, and they went right after the quarterback. Jason White gets injured. This just the second start of his career. Pulls up lane here, going out of bounds, and he would not return. Nate Hibble would have to come in at quarterback. Finds Trent Smith 7 yards out. Oklahoma had a 7-0 lead, but Nebraska came back with Darren Dietrich.
Give Nebraska credit. They got stuffed early on their offense, but they stayed with their game plan, kept running the ball, and set up some late passes.
A little trickery here. Nate Hibble to Curtis Fagan. Mark Clayton looking for Hibble, but he fell down. Now keep that in mind, because Nebraska comes back in the fourth quarter. Same play. Eric Crouch to Thunder Collins to Mike Stuntz. 63 yards for a touchdown. It works.
You win championships with a veteran quarterback. A veteran quarterback doesn't fall down when they call your number.
Absolutely. And Nebraska knocks Oklahoma from the ranks of the unbeaten. They had won 20 consecutive games. The numbers there, not impressive for Crouch. What is impressive is how he found the way to get his team into the winner's circle.
That's right. He's effective in his passing game. If he throws it a lot, he loses the football game. But if he throws it effectively, he hits a couple of deep balls over the secondary, because it was the secondary that were making all the tackles on the option.
And what this sets up is a Big 12 championship game that, in all likelihood, although the other coaches in the league aren't going to like hearing me say this, all likelihood it is going to be a return match.
And don't believe this. Oklahoma, they're telling themselves, if we win the rest of our games and win the Big 12 championship, we will have knocked off the number 1 team in the country and we'll be back in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, because some of the unbeatens are falling. Right. Meantime, Joe Paterno was looking to finally pass Bear Bryant, and his quarterback, Zach Mills, the backup, would get the job done. 69 yards on this touchdown run.
Unbelievable. 3 weeks ago, this was the worst offense in the country, average hooks and 7 points a game. They were on fire. 450 yards of offense today.
Including 26 yards to Tony Johnson. And Joe Paterno says, all right, we're sticking around. Zach Mills in 14 yards to Eric McCoo, and Penn State has the lead, 29-27. Last week, they didn't give him the ride. This week, he gets it as he gets career win number 324 to pass Bear Bryant. But take a look at the numbers on Zach Mills.
Did a great job. This was a team that could not throw the ball. They could not run it. And remember, this was a good Ohio State football team, especially their defense.
Joe Paterno is now number 1. Bear Bryant in the second position. But there's your dad creeping in the weeds looking to find his way back up.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm so proud for Joe Paterno. He deserves to be the winningest coach in the history of Division I. He struggled so much and kept the confidence of the team up this year.
To say that, starting 0-4, for him to come back with back-to-back wins, tremendous job, Joe. Syracuse against Virginia Tech. We talked about those unbeaten teams. Syracuse, Janelle Riddle takes this and goes 51 yards for the touchdown. Syracuse grabs the lead on Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech actually trailed at halftime the first time this season. Grant Knoll trying to bring him back. 17 yards to Sean Witten for the touchdown. Syracuse's lead is down to 6, but then Mark Holtzman gets the sack for the safety and puts him away.
Well, the reason they're having to throw so much, they couldn't run. For the first time this season, they could not rush for 100 yards.
22-14. You see Mungro with over 100 yards for Syracuse, the first win against a top 5 team since 1991 where they beat Florida. But take a look at teams that have turned this around. Syracuse also, one of their losses to Georgia Tech, they easily could have won that game, standing at 7-2.
That's right. They lost to Tennessee, Georgia Tech, 7 straight games. They've had great defense, great running attack, and R.J. Anderson became their quarterback after a couple of games, and he's led them to a great option quarterback offense.
And by the way, Miami, no doubt, taking note of that game, knowing they have to face Syracuse later. Auburn against Arkansas. Matt Jones, 21 yards to Richard Smith. For the second straight week, Auburn's defense has come up very weak. 14-3 the lead at that point. Then Fred Talley, 12 yards on the touchdown run. Back-to-back weekends of giving up 40-plus points for Auburn, and Arkansas wins it 42-17.
This is an Arkansas team whose offense had only been averaging 15 points a game. Very disappointing for Auburn University.
And Auburn, again, was also the only remaining team in the SEC without a conference loss. That has gone by the way as well. Stick around, back with more in a moment. This is the Capital One Halftime Show.
The yellow one is Pikachu. He's a Pokemon.
Then who is Digimon?
Thanks. Digimon is like a different group, wholly separate from the Pokemons.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Sure.
4,000 out of inflation.
Actually, Digimon means digital monsters. Coach's room. Nice.
College Game Day, presented by Discover Card. Saturday mornings at 10:30 on ESPN.
And when every once in a while people say to me, you ought to get out of it, you ought to get out of it. And I'm like everybody else. Every once in a while I think about it, and then I realize just how much it means to me and how many really absolutely great days I've had. I don't want to get out of it.
And all the young lives that he's helped change as well. Joe Paterno, congratulations on win number 324, number 1 all time. Now, with what went on today in college football, people knowing already that Oklahoma had lost, Virginia Tech had lost, the door was wide open for some teams to move up in the BCS standings, including number 3 UCLA. Stanford's Brian Allen drops the pass here. Ryan Neese picks up the loose ball because it was behind the line of scrimmage and takes it in for the touchdown, 7-0 Bruins. But then their defense falls apart. Chris Lewis, 20 yards to Luke Powell. They give up 28 points in the first half. They had not given up more than 17 in a game. Lewis here to Teo Johnson.
Shocking. Stanford's been good every week. They can score points on anybody, but this is the Pac-10's best defense. They've played horrendous, and Stanford is shutting down Deshaun Foster.
It's Brian Allen again with the long run. He's got 12 carries for 77 yards, 28-7. Stanford has the lead. If you take a look at the unbeaten teams, of course, as we mentioned, Oklahoma and Virginia Tech lost. That dropped the number down to 6, but UCLA missing a golden opportunity, perhaps.
Yes, and everybody else in the country with one loss, they're now looking at less teams that are undefeated, and especially those that don't have a strong strength of schedule.
And some of those one-loss teams lurking in the woods, perhaps. Florida is one of those teams that facing Georgia today. Rex Grossman with a touchdown pass and a touchdown run. He's back to doing what he does best, although he's been picked off a couple of times. His only really bad game against Auburn in the loss.
Yeah, he's coming back, and these two teams don't like each other very much. This is going to be a good game. Mark Richt has a winning record calling plays against Steve Spurrier, but for Florida State.
Another one-loss team, Michigan, and really that was about 50 seconds of bad play against Washington cost him that game. John Navarre hadn't been picked off 128 passes. Not his fault, but still the interception by Damon Sanders. And then Brad Banks, 5 yards to Dallas Clark for the touchdown. Iowa scores first, leads 7-0, had it up to 10-zip. The punt is blocked. Zach Kaufman, and then Roy Manning jumps on it for the touchdown, and Michigan gets on the board. But again, their offense sputtering some.
This is a good Iowa football team. They've been good on defense every game this year except against Indiana.
Michigan giving up only 52 yards per game on the ground. You see Brad Banks already with 53 and that touchdown. Texas, boy, if not for that loss to Oklahoma, their story could be different. They've really got the offense going for Chris Sims.
And those of you who doubted Chris Sims, he's thrown 12 touchdown passes since that Oklahoma loss.
You see Cedric Benson, 31 carries, 157 yards. Very impressive Texas, that 35-16 win. Iowa State trails Texas A&M 24-21. Joe Weber has a 1-yard touchdown run. Iowa State's quarterback Seneca Wallace actually 2 touchdown passes and a touchdown run, but Texas A&M with the lead.
They're doing well. You know, they lost their one game. They're kind of out of the Big 12 picture, but this is still a good team that should get into a good bowl.
Again, though, the chances that are being missed by UCLA right now, trailing big against Stanford. Stick around. We'll come back. Florida State, Maryland. The second half still to come. Michael Boulware helped get things going with a defensive touchdown, 23 yards on this INT. Florida State up by 4.
Get me on the football like feels so pretty inside.
Kirk, look, it's you and me.
I have to go. I'm sorry.
It's you and me, Kirk.
I'm a football like I did.
And we're back. College Game Day, presented by Discover Card. Saturday mornings at 10:30 on ESPN.
Can happen to the best of us. This time it happened to Rich.
Keep in touch.
He ended up getting sent down.
And now for sports.
Thank you, Courtney. All JV wrestlers must return their uniforms to Coach.
He was a real asset down there. His maturity, his experience.
Miss Joyson, could you buy some beer? Okay, when I go like this, that's your cue.
No.
Please?
No.
Come on.
No.
Do you even go to this school? Because you're not supposed to be on the show unless you go to this school.
But we're glad he worked his way back to the show. And I'm sure he is too.
So, let's see some James K. Polk spirit.
Una nueva era en televisión deportiva está aquí. ESPN Deportes. Ahora ESPN es en español. Los domingos por la noche no se pierda Major League Baseball. Y muy pronto la NFL y boxeo. Los domingos por la noche, cada palabra en español. Toda la acción de los deportes se encuentra en ESPN. Presentado por quienes mejor lo hacen. ESPN Deportes. Los domingos a las 7:30.
Barkley for 3!
27-year-old Steffi Graf, Wimbledon champion.
The Super Bowl most valuable player is Troy Aikman.
1 second on the clock.
Dallas touchdown.
Tonight, for those of you on the West Coast, 4 o'clock Pacific, Oregon facing unbeaten Washington State. Then next Saturday, regional action. Florida State takes on Clemson. That'll be dad against son. Some of you will be in the Pac-10 to watch Oregon State face USC, or one of 2 Big Ten matchups, either Michigan, Michigan State, or Illinois against Purdue. And speaking of the Boilermakers, today against Northwestern, They were banging the drum, and they were banging strong for Brandon Hance. Hance goes 49 yards to Seth Morales for the touchdown.
He was solid. Did not throw any interceptions today. A touchdown pass right here.
190 yards. Also had 9 carries of 49 yards. Northwestern has suddenly hit the skids. Clemson against Wake Forest. Important game for your brother Tommy. Wake Forest looking to creep above 500. Woody Dantzler was the difference again. 32 yards on this touchdown pass.
The D was not just for Dantzler, who rushed for 100 and threw for over 200, but it was for defense. For the first time maybe this year, the defense came on, played a solid game. They'll need to against Florida State next week.
Although when this guy runs and passes, 20 carries, 119 yards, 211 yards through the air as Clemson gets the victory. Stick around. We'll continue with more. The second half is coming up right now. Let's take it back out to the game.
Halftime here, the marching Chiefs of Florida State University have seen their team march to a lead of 21-17 at the break. ABC Sports presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
You know, athletes are pretty well known for their superstitions, but I gotta be honest, our guys can be pretty quirky too.
Have a good show, Kenny.
You too. There was this one time Brian had a great show, didn't bathe for 17 days straight.
This year, though, it's been a very different story.
The worst had to be when Dan spilled clam chowder, Manhattan clam chowder, all over Reese. Had his best show ever. Of course, that got old for Reese really quickly.
Yeah.
He's in makeup.
Okay.
As an anchor, you always want that complete show.
And coming up, a Did You Know about sports.
So, Ken, how you feeling?
I'm fine. Never better. I'm great. I can go. Just let me finish like that.
You'll get him next show.
Sometimes you don't have your best stuff, so you got to bring in a closer. We usually handle it like professionals.
Thanks a lot.
It's all part of the game.
You're on in 3, 2.
Welcome back to Sports Center. The subject...
Go pick me out a winner, Bobby.
Okay.
Baseball tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
Oh, sweet.
Guys, sorry, you're not the game day band.
We are the game day.
And we're back. Big Ten football.
College Game Day, Thursday nights at 7 on ESPN.
The yellow one is Pikachu. He's a Pokemon.
Then who is Digimon?
Thanks. Digimon is like a different group, wholly separate from the Pokemons.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Sure.
Plate 4,000 out of plate.
Actually, Digimon means digital monsters.
Halftime at Tallahassee, 21-17. The host Seminoles in front of the Maryland Terrapins. Welcome back, Brad Nessler and Bob Greasy. You know, the game started and Maryland kind of came in with a swagger. I thought they were going to go out with a stagger at the end of the quarter, but they got that field goal. Good game the first half.
It was, and played into Maryland's needs. That is, get up quickly on the road against the big gorilla in the ACC, and they did, 14-0. Now they're down at halftime. It's going to be interesting to see how they come back out. If Ralph can get them back and say, hey, we can go out and win the second half.
All right, Chris Ricks has been impressive at quarterback today for Florida State. Part of their 163 passing yards. As you take a look at the stats, the turnovers, that's a big one right there, as it always is. Remember, Boulware's interception not only turned things around, it went straight to the end zone with it. And that is what got Florida State back in the ballgame. Stein to kick, and Rich Parson, the freshman, is deep, 5 yards deep, and he won't bring it out. Let's take a look at our Morgan Stanley well-connected storyline. Shaun Hill has not been as impressive as he's been in the last couple of weeks, but he got Lynch, his big fullback, free on the option for a 65-yard touchdown. I mentioned Chris Ricks' numbers. There they are, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Tallman Gardner has been a big part of it today with 2 touchdown grabs.
Both quarterbacks have done some good things and some bad things. All that will be wiped away if they come out and play well in the second half and win the ball game.
Riley and Perry flanking Hill, and they'll give it off to Riley inside. Jennings and Boulware will bring him down after a pickup of 5 as we check in with Lynn.
Well, Brad, I talked to Ralph Region as he came onto the field, and he said we came out and played a great first quarter of football, the intensity that we were looking for. He said in the second quarter is where we lost it. We just kind of stumbled and staggered around. He challenged his team to come out and play a tough second half of football, to lay it all. He said, you lay it all out, I'll take the responsibility for what happened.
That's the kind of coach he is. Second down and 5 at the 25. This is Perry, and he's got a first down run as Jennings brings him down, but not before he got out to about the 32-yard line.
And this is a nice way to start the second half. Get out there, run the football, control the line of scrimmage. When you can run the football, you feel like you can dominate the other team's defense.
Remember that 132 rushing yards in the first half. The majority of that came on one play for Maryland, so they haven't exactly lit it up on the ground either. That was a good run for a first down. And just inside the 33, the Terrapins first and 10. Perry in motion. He gets it on the option pitch, and now Perry starting to warm up. Ran right up Riley, or rather Parson, who was trying to throw a block for him out there. Bradley Jennings in on another stop.
This is the same look that Lynch ran for the touchdown. They gave it to him. Didn't give it to him that time. Popped it out to Perry on the outside for a gain of about 4 or 5.
You can see right there Perry running right up the back of his would-be blocker, the freshman number 22. That's probably the hardest he's been hit all day. Second down at 6 at the 37. Hill with a nice play fake. Rolls and throws a strike. First down. Got it out to Scooter Monroe.
Nice play. I love the play. A play action fake, and then you roll out. Now the wide receiver runs about 20 to 25 yards downfield. You got to fake over here and then get outside the pocket. Now what the receiver knows this is going to take a lot of time. So he goes down about 20 yards and then comes back. That play is there all day long.
First down in Florida State territory now. Just inside the Noles 48. And again, on the option, Hill will keep it this time. Got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Alonzo Jackson stayed home, made the stop from his defensive end position. Let's go back to what you touched on a little bit earlier. We'll get that after this play.
Well, Jackson 48 does a nice job of staying his ground and making the play. Beats off the block of Brooks.
Remember what you said. You touched on it. Bobby Bowden said the third quarter, the beginning of the third quarter has been our stickler all year. We can't let a team get the opening kick and take it down the field. Here's Maryland in Florida State territory. Second down and 10. Hill's going to flip it out there to Perry. Dropped another one. Let's see. Scramble for the ball. That was not a lateral, though. And we check in Times Square Stadium in New York with John.
Right here on the Burger King update. Michigan against Iowa. You knew Michigan got their touchdown late on the punt block. Well, here on a punt return, Chris Oliver hands it off to C.J. Jones. And watch the speed as he just pulls away from all the Wolverines to open the lead to 17-7. That's where it stands now. Brad.
Shaking up the Big Ten a little bit.
That'd be a big win for Iowa. And Kirk Ferentz.
Third down at 10 for Maryland. Opening drive, third quarter. Here comes a blitz on Hill. Going to lay it out long. He's got Williams out there, and he made the catch.
Huge play.
Jafar Williams just outfought the corner, and it's a big play down inside the 15.
We got a blitz coming on the inside, and on the outside you've got Tatum, number 3, in single coverage. Tatum's the one that gotten beat a couple of weeks ago against North Carolina. He didn't see the ball. You can be as close to the receiver as you want, but if you don't see the ball, you can't defend him.
catch for Williams. Second time he's done it on third down. That was a 36-yarder to the 12.
Huge play.
Maryland trying to regain the lead here. Perry wide open for him off right tackle. The door closed as he got to about the 8-yard line. Abdul Howard and Kendall Pope make the stop.
Watch these guys over here. They're just going to follow these running. The offensive linemen on that side, Bryant and Crawford. Huge hole over there. And then because it's down inside the 10-yard line, the defensive backs are playing up closer to the line of scrimmage. Come up and make the play.
Ninth play of the Maryland drive to open quarter number 3. Second down and 6. Hill, long stretch, handoff, Perry. Broken tackle, he'll score! Touchdown, Maryland. This is the most points they've ever scored against Florida State. The previous best they could do was 21. They've got 23 in the lead and the extra point coming up.
And was that an impressive drive? You can just see Ralph Friedgen talking to these guys, getting in their heads, the attitude. All year we've worked hard for this moment right here. The discipline and the toughness, the mental toughness to go back out and reestablish the dominance in this ball game.
Novak's point after is good. 11 minutes and 8 seconds as Perry got some good blocking, and number 1 found himself an opening and then went airborne. Touchdown, Maryland.
Like a lot of organizations, ESPN was having trouble with their carpet. So they had me install a more natural surface. This grass we install is the best. It's a good Bermuda.
No hot water on that, okay?
Yeah, that'll set the sting.
It lays down very, very pretty.
Still to come on SportsCenter the rest of the night in the NBA.
Wherever you are, I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than grass.
How much time do we have?
And we're back.
College Game Day, presented by Discover Card. Saturday mornings at 10:30 on ESPN.
He's a field goal kicker. What's so amazing about a field goal?
It's 63 yards under pressure.
Under pressure?
Pressure?
I never said more than 5 words to a field goal kicker in my life.
Like, go get me some water.
And hurry.
Guys, look, I got $40. Says none of y'all can hit from half that distance.
You got it. I'll take that.
It's a bet.
Guys, believe you're up.
Pretty far.
Ralph Friedgen's 12th-ranked Terrapins just went 80 yards in 9 plays to take the lead again. If they can hold on and win this thing, he'd be the owner of the best start by a first-year coach in ACC history. I think a lot of you remember Fred Goldsmith at Duke back in '94, started 7-0, which is what Ralph has done to this point. But a lot of football left. But that was a good-looking drive to open up the third quarter.
That was a very impressive drive. That, you know, the first drive of the third quarter says so much about the halftime and what the players and the commitment and the coaching staff do when they come back out. And that was huge.
The biggest play on that drive was that 3rd and 10 where Jafar Williams got behind Tatum for that 36-yard gain. Somebody better get on that ball. Thornton finally comes up and covers it. A high kick and came down, and he got on top of it at about the 22-yard line.
Especially when you go back to the play just prior to the end of the first half when they kicked the field goal. So they got 3 points there on a second try, and then they come out and they score. So they got 10 points before Florida State gets their hands on the ball.
That's exactly right. So first down now for the Seminoles. As Bob said, it's been a wait for them to get their hands on the football. And Ricks play action on first down. Going to go deep. Got a man out there, and he's got him. And it's Tolman Gardner again. 21 to the 21. What a day this kid's having.
Yes, sir. Chris Ricks is really bonding with Talman Gardner. I don't know what it is, but sometimes the outside receiver, he's just going to run right by him on the outside. Sometimes a quarterback and a receiver just have a karma, they just click, their personalities. Gardner was one a couple weeks ago in North Carolina that was really getting on Chris Ricks, saying you're a better player than that, come on.
There's going to be an offside on Maryland. That'll be a free 5 yards, and that's going to move it in the red zone. 56-yard pass play, by the way, to Talman Gardner on a pass that couldn't have been much better.
Well, let me tell you what happened at halftime. Gardner came over to to one of the Bowdens, Jeff Bowden or Bobby, and said, hey, I can beat that guy over there.
Of contact.
Just straight down the field.
On the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty. We still have first down.
The Gardner right now is cutting up the bushes. 4 catches, 2 touchdowns, 24 plus per grab. First down and 5 now for the Seminoles after the penalty. And Ricks looking to change things up, trying to get word to his 3 wide receivers. Maddox, maybe 2 yards. E.J. Henderson up over the top to help on the stop.
Bob, I think that last play was one of the things you were talking about in the maturation of a quarterback. Ricks came up to the line of scrimmage, saw something he didn't like. This time, instead of just running the play, he carefully looked around. He had enough time on the clock, made the change. The line call made the change. They didn't pick up yards, but they didn't make a mistake.
Yep. Didn't lose yardage.
Second down and 4. Bell and Gardner, and
you got single coverage out here on these 2 guys. If he wants to throw a fade,
Javon Walker's up there on top. He's going to come this way with a fade to Gardner. Nice play defensively by Bernard Wilson.
Just underthrew it a little bit, just a tad. Gardner went up for it, but Wilson knocked it away.
Fans booing here. They wanted a pass interference. Bob called the play perfectly.
You want to throw this ball high and to the outside, and he was underthrown. And, you want a jump ball. Your guy's going to see it, and if their guy doesn't see it, he can make a play on it.
Third down conversion's not very good. 3rd and 4. This is where they like the slant, or at least Ricks has been effective with it today.
Watch your blitz right here.
Quarterback keeper on the draw.
It was free.
Yep.
There was too many guys lined up over there, and you just from being a quarterback, I can just tell you that there's too many guys over there and somebody sneaking around the hen house.
Charles Hill and Marlon Moore made the stop, and that's going to bring out the field goal unit.
Bobby doesn't like settling for field goals. He had a great shot at the touchdown with the fade route to Gardner.
Bethia is 8 out of 9 on the year, and he'll try a 31-yard kick to try to tie this thing up. Spots there. Kick is good, too. And we got a tie football game. 8 minutes and 51 seconds remaining 3rd quarter. It's Maryland 24, Florida State 24.
Gotta have fun. A little bit of celebrating does not bother me.
The game itself is fun. These are great athletes playing the game of football. That's a celebration. That's fun.
That's because you ain't got no rhythm, man.
It's about individuality, Chris.
It's called professional football. Act like a professional.
Stop talking about professional and organized and disciplined. They're kids. Let the kids have some fun.
I'll show you some fun.
Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Coach's room. Nice.
And we're back.
College Game Day, presented by Discover Card. Saturday mornings at 10:30 on ESPN.
He's a field goal kicker. What's so amazing about a field goal?
It's 63 yards under pressure.
Under pressure? Pressure? I never said more than 5 words to a field goal kicker in my life. Like, go get me some water. And hurry.
Guys, look, I got $40. Says none of y'all can hit from half that distance.
You got it. I'll take that. It's a bet.
Guys, believe you're up.
Pretty far.
Our Pacific Life game summary in this one. We've had a little bit of everything, including big James Lynch going 65 yards for a touchdown. Florida State came back in a matter of 3 minutes, put up an offensive score. Boulware's return for a touchdown. Then the penalty that cost 3 just before halftime on the second kick, 51-yarder by Novak was good. Perry put Maryland in front to open the third quarter with that touchdown. But Florida State has just come back to hit a field goal of 31 yards, and we are dead even. 8:51 remaining third quarter.
Well, if you like offense, it's impressive coming out the second half. Both offenses take the ball and move down the field. Maryland got a touchdown. Florida State almost got one, got 3 points.
Here's a very short kick and fumbled at the 13. Ball's loose. Florida State's got it. There's a guy that's been playing great special teams all day long. Tried to save the punt from going in earlier, and Hetzel just came up with a huge play.
This was a poor kickoff that turns into a good thing for Florida State. His knee hits the ball, knocks it forward, and Chance is the one that knocked it away right here. This is just inexcusable. I mean, when you're in a tight, close game, you can't turn the ball over on the inside your 15, 20-yard line.
You think that's the biggest play of Gerald Hetzel's college football career? I'd say.
For sure.
Just outside the 15. Florida State with a first down. Jones tried to run for something on the right side, and he knocked down a couple of people, and he got down near the 10-yard line. That didn't look like it was going anywhere, and all of a sudden, 5 or 6 yards later, Jones finally comes to earth.
Offensive line for the Seminoles, right side of it, the strong side, Holland and Williams, Donaldson. But look at Jones.
Wow.
That's the difference between he and Maddox.
Greg Jones gave Randall Jones a mouthful, didn't he? Got 6, 2nd and 4. He stays in there. 2 tight end set for the Noles down inside the Maryland 10, trying to regain the lead. Greg Jones again. And going to be close to a first down. I don't think he got it.
Jones on the carry.
Charles Hill made the stop. It's going to be awfully close, though. They needed to get down just outside the 5, and as you can see, that's right about where they are, and close enough to look at, I think.
We had a graphic there very briefly which showed that Maryland has got 3 turnovers in the ball game, and that's and Florida State only has 1. Maryland came into the ball game leading the nation, or second in the nation in turnover margin, and leading the nation in takeaways on defense. It's been just the opposite here today. When they played and beat Georgia Tech up in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, Georgia Tech turned the ball over 6 times.
And when Florida State lost to Miami, they turned the ball over 6 times.
And when they lost to North Carolina, they turned it over 5 times. So you get a little thing what we're talking about here.
Little pattern there.
If you turn the ball over, you're going to lose the football game.
Third down and the length of the ball. McCray and Jones in an eye backfield behind Ricks. It'll be McCray, the fullback. He's got the first as he had to get to the 5, and he got there.
Well, McCray is the short yardage man, and don't think that Maryland doesn't know it. He gets the short yardage call either on short yardage out in the field or scoring touchdowns. He came in to the game with 16 touchdowns, so if you get down there near the goal line, look for McCray.
Trues Bell's bringing into play from Jeff Bowden from the bench.
That's the formation. He's talking about when they said the double twos, that's the formation they want, so everybody knows ahead of time.
They keep the big back Jones in. Bell is the lone wide receiver out there on the left wing. Greg Jones, one stiff arm, cuts inside, touchdown! Good looking run, touchdown Jones. So the fumble recovery on the kick turns into 6. Greg Jones yards out. And with 6:50 left in the third quarter, Florida State gets back in front. Xavier Bethia, the freshman from Tampa, for the point after. Up and good. Pretty darn good ball game.
Special teams come up with it. Here you go right here. He's going to come upside, but watch the blocking inside here, and then he's going to bounce it to the outside. The block right here. That's what gets it done. The tight ends block. That's Donaldson. Big, strong guy, 243 pounds. A little bit different than Maddox. Gets the heavy hitting inside.
The play that set it up, remember. There's the fumble kick. And Jared Hetzel, a junior defensive back out of Bellevue, Florida, on the special teams. Let's give him part of that touchdown.
Well, Chris Ricks is having a pretty good day, but he's getting help from his defense and from his special teams, turning the ball over. A short field there for the touchdown.
There's the guy that dropped the last one. Doesn't want that to happen again. Points off turnovers, so huge. Doesn't matter where we go, we see it every week.
It's you know, you talk to coaches about the keys to a game, and they'll always talk about turnovers. And
sounds like coach speak until something like
this
happens.
Yeah. Maryland is 7-0, and they, and their turnover margin is plus 15. They've taken it away 15 more times than they've given it away.
Rich Parson camps under this one at the goal line. And Parson took a whack at about the 16. And again, Hetzel was one of the guys down there, number 13. Has he been something on special teams today? Remember, he's the guy that almost saved that punt from going in the end zone earlier. Recovered the fumble a few moments ago, and now was just in on the tackle again. Not too much of a change in expression on Ralph Friedgen's face all day long, except maybe that field goal to end the first half. He kind of liked that one. First down now from the 18-yard line. Hill steps up in the pocket, goes down. Florida State tracks him down. Alonzo Jackson came storming around with Jeff Womble. And they get to him.
Take a look at the defense. Jackson, number 48 on the right side, getting around the redshirt freshman Moore, and he comes up with the other end. That's Womble, 91. The two of them meeting at the quarterback.
First sack of the day for Florida State. Here come the fans again. With 6:05 to go in the quarter and a touchdown lead. Hill, second and long. Throws, Perry's got it. Close to a first down.
Perry's fourth catch on the day. He's dropped a couple. Here's Perry here. No, Perry's over here. Excuse me. He's just going to go over to the right side. Back split. Right there. Just get out there, run the option. Turn around, get up the field. He's dropped a couple that he had, a couple screen passes that he had. Could have gotten some more yardage out of.
Third down about 2 feet.
It's a big third down conversion here.
Lynch, the fullbacks behind Hill. Here's the option. Hill will keep it. He's got the first and then some. Abdul Howard tracks him down, but not before he got out to the 31-yard line with a first down run.
Yeah, I like that call. I really do. It's crucial that you pick it up. You got solid blocking over here all the way. Now your quarterback, you got two shots. My quarterback can get out there and run for it, or if it's stuffed up, he can pitch to the back. I like that play when it's third and short.
So now they get a first down at their own 31-yard line. Got that double wing set in there again. And with that, it's Hill again to keep it going the other way. And picked up about 4. Chris Hope made the stop. Let's check in Times Square Stadium in New York and John Saunders.
Brad, Michigan with just one loss, trying not to squander the opportunities given them today by Oklahoma and Virginia Tech losing. UCLA's down as well. John Navarre, 77 yards to Tyrese Butler. Gets it inside the 5-yard line. On the next play, Chris Perry from 3 yards out. Michigan down just 6.
Here it's Maryland down 7. And second down and 6 as Hill drops to throw. Is going to air one out for Parson. Beg your pardon, that's not Parson. It's Julian Gary, incomplete. Rufus Brown was covering.
Rufus is not is in there playing for Tatum, who was out with an injury for a while. Rufus only 5'9", 175 pounds, so there's a lot of teams that just like to throw over there and figure that they can beat him. But Mickey Andrews says you're not small if you don't play small.
Maryland 7 out of 11 in their third down conversions. 3rd and 6 here. Hill with time. And he's completed it out for a first down at the 47-yard line.
Nice throw there. That's Whittemore. He's a walk-on. He's a 5th-year senior walk-on, and he's had some injuries. Come back inside. There's 3 guys running out there. That's to confuse the defense. The defense is in a zone coverage. Nice throw, throwing it around the defense.
8th different guy Hill is hooked up with today. And a first down toss to the 47. We're under 4 minutes in the third quarter. And Florida State wants a timeout. You see Boulware there on the left side of your screen. Were they short a man?
Yes. Manuel running out there on the field.
So Florida State's got to use a timeout with 3 minutes, 47 seconds left, third quarter. Mickey Andrews with a frown on his face. Noles are up 7.
Get me on the football like feels so free inside.
Kirk, look, it's you and me.
I have to go. I'm sorry.
It's you and me, Kirk.
I'm a football like I did.
Kirk!
And we're back.
College Game Day, presented by Discover Card. Saturday mornings at 10:30 on ESPN.
Monday Night Football, they brought in Dennis Miller, so we decided to give our show a little shot in the arm.
So while Serena sits at home with an injury, Venus Williams is advancing the finals.
Tennis racket! Yeah! NCAA basketball, big dance.
And you always have to try new things. You always got to tinker with it, make it better.
The Bulls basketball, look. Why? Why was it so bad?
You know what? It's a very subjective thing.
Next Sports Center, 1 hour from now with Carrot Top. I'm Carl Ravitch. Thanks for watching, folks.
Woo! Smart!
Put yourself in the hot seat of ESPN's 2-minute drill. Feel your heart pump and your adrenaline build as you race the clock. Now you can be in the hot seat at home. ESPN's 2-minute drill, the ultimate sports quiz show, comes to the PC with ESPN's 2-minute drill CD-ROM. Test your sports knowledge with host Kenny May and other ESPN personalities such as Rich Eisen, Tom Jackson, and Charlie Steiner. ESPN's 2-minute drill CD-ROM. Available wherever software is sold.
Bobby Bowden pacing that sideline as he's done for so many years. 26 here, looking for win number 320, which puts him in the rarefied air right behind Bear Bryant and another couple of steps behind Joe Paterno, who passed the Bear today with his victory over Ohio State. They're going to have to earn this one for Bobby, though. It's been a tough one. Maryland trailing by 7. Hill play fake in trouble, and he throws that thing away. Ooh, they were coming that time. Boulware putting the heat on Hill. And a penalty marker. Did they call a roughing the passer, maybe?
Well, there's a flag back there where he went down.
I think they're going to call intentional grounding, Brad.
There is no flag on the play. The quarterback was outside of the pocket.
Okay, that's what it would have been, Swanee, but he was outside the pocket, so they pick it up.
Well, that's just a good call by the official back there. He threw the flag initially. You have to be outside where the tackles normally line up when the ball was snapped. And there's the official on the right side that made the call, and he picked it up. And I think he was outside the pocket.
So it's 2nd and 10, 9th play of the drive for Maryland. Straight drop by Hill. Wants to throw a screen and does to Perry with blockers in front. Perry, nice cutback now in the open field. Down the sideline, one man to beat. He'll get knocked out. Chris Hope saved a touchdown right there.
They've had several screens set up to Perry that have looked awfully good. A couple times he dropped the ball, a couple times not. All right, he's inviting the defensive line to get after him. Now, what's the lineman out there in front of him? Bryant is 73. Fowler gets out there, the center. Crawford was out there, the tackle. And this is getting your speedy back out in space.
Career-long catch and run for Perry. 48 yards down inside the 15. He stays in as the I-back, and he'll get the call on the ground. Got 2 or 3. Abdul Howard closed the door.
See, I don't know about that. Ralph was a quarterback in high school, and he's not calling the plays right now. But when my man catches a screen pass and runs about 37 yards,
don't go back to him.
Give him a break. Call that play to the fullback or throw it out, throw a pass or something. But if you're going to lead the guy in there, give him a break.
He stays in for the 11th play of the drive. It's already carried him 70 yards. 2nd down and 8. Maryland trying to tie things up here in the 3rd quarter. On the option, Perry again on the pitch. Broke a tackle. Perry, 1st and goal, Maryland.
He's special. He didn't play last year, Perry. He sat out the year. He was redshirted year because of Lamont Jordan had his big year, and now it's Perry's turn. Look at the little option.
Here's a guy in spring ball that Ralph Friedgen said, he had one of those little hamstring things. You know how I love guys pulling hamstrings. He said, I didn't think he was tough enough.
Yep.
And then as the season started, he got better week in and week out. And Perry says quietly, I just give the man what he wants, meaning Coach Friedgen.
And they all love him.
1st and goal. 2 tight ends, everybody stacked in. This is Riley. Got about a yard.
When I said they love him, all of the players speak very highly of Ralph Friedgen, the discipline that he brought in and the system that he brought in.
Right down to making sure everybody goes to breakfast every morning.
Yeah, he's a hands-on approach. He's almost, they say he's honest to a fault sometimes.
2nd and goal at the 2. Here's the option. It's Hill. It's a touchdown. Sean Hill takes it in himself, and we're an extra point away from another tie.
Seems, if you know the option's coming on short yardage or goal line, you still can't play it because somebody's got to be accountable to the quarterback. It's coming this way. All you need is a couple yards, and you got it.
So that's the 6th rushing touchdown of the year for Hill. And Nick Novak, an all-important point after coming up, and it's good. 1 minute and 53 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. And this is an ACC battle going on in Tallahassee. Here's Hill, the guy that nobody wanted coming out of high school. Got a couple of offers to play Division II football, to be a punter. So he went to Kansas, Hutchinson Community College. He beat out 6 other quarterbacks. And then an ex-assistant coach at Maryland went down to Hutchinson in search of a cornerback. The coach there said, hey, you need a quarterback? He says, I don't know. They took a look at this kid. Now he's their starter. He just got him in the end zone and tied things up.
There were a couple other quarterbacks at Maryland when he got here, and one has since left, and the other one was playing basketball. And Sean Hill is playing very, very nicely, and is one of the reasons that this team is undefeated this year, because he has really played well. The option, the passing game, and more importantly, making good decisions.
Sean Hill's the guy that got him in the end zone, but there's the guy that got him close. Perry with the screen pass first, and then a couple of nifty runs to get it down inside the 5. Hill did the rest on the option, and it's tied at 31. Vidad Silkovic, he'll tee it up. An 82-yard march. Man, they've had a couple nice drives in this 3rd quarter.
Game's been tied 3 times, and a couple lead chances. Kind of nice, huh?
It sure is. Silkovic's kick. A roll down to about the 13. PK Sam picks it up. And PK out to about the 28.
I think when these guys kick off, somebody's letting the air out of the ball because nobody can kick it deep anymore.
ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Cadillac, the fusion of design and technology. Tostitos Scoops, the Dip Lovers Chip. Capital One, who asks, what's in your wallet? And Marriott, your Marriott awaits. The offense awaits for Florida State as they'll work now from the 28-yard line. Already they've seen Maryland put more points up than ever before in an ACC encounter against a team they've never beaten in ACC play. Ricks play action, getting some heat. Chris has got good wheels. He got the corner, looking for a block. Mater got him a block. Across midfield, all the way down to the 40-yard line. And he's looking for a flag on the hit at the end. But he'll take what he got, and that was a big play.
That's one of the big things that the number 16 this year can do that the 16 last year couldn't do. Chris Winkie is get outside and run the football. He's got a strong arm, but he says, I got to eject. He's got a man open.
That was Mater.
Yeah, I'm going.
36-yard scamper for Chris Ricks. And all the way down, they spotted just outside the 36-yard line. So 36 to the 36. With a minute and 34 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Here's a toss sweep to Maddox, trying to cut back. And they won't let him. Tony Jackson stays home as safety and made the stop as we head to Times Square Stadium and John Saunders.
Brad, Michigan and Iowa, this is what you call a terrific grab by Marquise Walker. Navarre with the pass, up with the right hand, taps it back to himself for the touchdown. With the extra point, Michigan now has the lead, 21-20. Brad, back to you.
Well, that's a special player and a special catch. Beauty, John. Yeah. Second down and 12 to go. Ricks play action, throws the out, and way out in front of Atruz Bell, incomplete. That one sailed on him again a little bit.
Well, he probably did, but you don't know if the receiver was supposed to be out wider than he was or not. But he was open. That's the bottom line.
So it brings up a third down and a dozen.
Bobby's finding out right now what the problem was because he was wide open. And he's probably finding out what this play is.
Florida State has not handled third down very well. Only 1 out of 7 after coming in at 44% on the year.
Watch these linebackers. Here they come.
Ricks trying to buy himself some time on the roll. Can't find anybody open. Keeps it. Gets what he can, which is across the line of scrimmage and maybe down to the 35, maybe the 34-yard line.
Yeah, if you weren't with us at the beginning of the game, we mentioned that this defense of Gary Blackney's for Maryland is a very aggressive, a very attacking, a very disruptive style. They do a lot of blitzing, and it's very confusing for young quarterbacks such as Florida State has playing here today.
Chance Gwaltney into punt. They tried one fake punt earlier in the game. I don't anticipate another. Well, I think he wanted to kick to the corner, but he didn't want to kick it that far out.
Yeah.
And, oh, man, this is terrible. They might as well have run the ball where they're going to spot this thing.
Yeah.
At the 24-yard line. That is a 10-yard punt.
You know, they work on this all the time. They really do. They practice. The kickers don't do anything, and they work on this, and they practice it. But still, when you get down in a ball game, the pressure, these kids are only 19, 20, 21 years old, and they have to perform under pressure.
Chance Gwaltney shanks one, and Maryland has the offense back out at the 24-yard line. And they're a man short. Perry comes trotting in, well, more than trotting, comes sprinting in to get into the lineup. Might be the last play of this quarter. And Hill will throw. Going to throw a fade near side. Monroe way over the top. And Jeff Bowden almost made the catch on that one on the sideline. So 7 seconds left, third quarter. Maryland today, as far as their possessions, the last 3, field goal and 2 touchdowns. And look at 2 80-plus yard drives.
That field goal was the last play of the first half. It kind of got the momentum back to their side.
A 51-yard kick at career long. Shotgun for Hill. Takes it to Riley, pitches it to Perry. Perry gets a headache, but he broke off that and takes another shot for Boulware. Man.
It's a bigger headache.
I don't know how he got rid of that first would-be tackler. And there is a flag down.
I think they're going to say there was a hit out of bounds.
We have disagreed with these kind of calls so many times, it seems, because especially when the second effort of a tailback like that breaks a tackle and starts going down the sideline, oh, they're going to call it on Maryland. Because I was going to say Boulware, I thought had a pretty legitimate shot to have to tackle him.
Yeah, and I think it was a good hit by Boulware.
So whatever happened after that, and it was against Maryland, not against Florida State, if our preliminary signal from Ron Cherry was pointing in the right direction. Either way, the quarter has come to a close. That part we know. And I think you know it's on Maryland now. And if you're a lip reader, you know what Ralph thought of the call. Something about fish and chips, I think he said.
Right
there it comes at the end. There's a spear job by one of the offensive linemen, C.J. Brooks.
Yeah, it's Brooks hitting out of bounds, and that was what the call was.
And so that ends 3. What a ball game in the ACC. Seminoles at home trying to hold court. Terrapins trying to continue their undefeated ways. 31 apiece at the end of 3. ABC Sports presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
It's college football season, and that means classic Friday tailgate only on ESPN Classic. Every Friday from 1 to 7, witness the greatest game.
Touchdown! The Snake does it again!
The greatest players and the greatest rivalries in college football history. It's the classic Friday tailgate. Every Friday from 1 to 7, only on ESPN Classic. Every Wednesday night from 9 to 11 is Wednesday Night College Football. It's Game of the Night, only on ESPN Classic. Classic rivalries. Touchdown! Classic legends. Classic bowl.
The Snake does it again! Touchdown, Nebraska!
The only place to be for the greatest games in college football is ESPN Classic. Wednesday Night College Football. Every Wednesday night from 9 to 11.
Hey, Boilermaker.
Yeah?
Got my curve breaking 2.5 feet.
Oh, yeah? Then you have been practicing, huh? But don't give me no baloney about a curve breaking 2.5 feet, though.
For how much?
$10?
Make it 20.
We got a bet.
Baseball tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
A great slugger, we haven't got.
A great pitcher, we haven't got.
A great ball club, we haven't got. What have we got?
We've got heart. All you really need is heart. When the odds are saying you'll never win, that's when the grin should start.
Now you're getting the idea.
Baseball tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
Number 1 just got his number 1,000-yard rushing season ever. Bruce Perry went over 1,000 yards the last time he carried. He's got 55 on the ground today and 71 as a receiver. He gets a little breather. His team faces a 3rd down and 18 after that personal foul to end the 3rd quarter. And we start the 4th and Tallahassee tied at 31. Sean Hill throws on the run. Got his man, but he had to go to the turf to keep it. Scooter Monroe, and that brings out the punting unit. Brooks Bernard will punt. And Dominic Robinson will drop back deep. Nice kick. Robinson way back to the 26. Got by the first man. Got a block. Down the side. And he's over the 45 to the 46-yard line. 51-yard kick and a yard return. So now Florida State, the defending champs, have the ball 31-31. We talked with Bobby Bowden about the state of the Atlantic Coast Conference.
The conference is getting tougher. There's no doubt about it. I've said before, and it's a true statement, until people beat us, they're going to say the conference is no good. I mean, Florida State's in there. They have no problems. So until people start beating us, they're going to say that, you know. And like anything, I mean, gee whiz, eventually everybody will beat us. I hope it ain't the same year. You know, one a year's enough.
One a year's enough. Well, nobody's ever beaten them at home in conference play, and overall, they're 73-3 in conference action since joining in '92, and they've won or shared all.
Exactly.
Got a Florida State man down, and it was on that punt return, and I still can't see quite who it is.
Number 24, I think.
That's B.J. Ward, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Now the three teams that have beaten Virginia beat them: NC State and North Carolina.
Exactly. Virginia in '95, North Carolina State on Chris Wenke's really only bad day maybe ever as a Seminole when he threw all those interceptions, and then the North Carolina game that we saw them in earlier this year, where it was still close at halftime and the third quarter blew up in their face. And there's BJ up, a redshirt freshman out of Dallas, and he's a little woozy. You know, there are differing opinions, I guess, from people on what this game will do. If Maryland picks off Florida State, does that mean Florida State really is having that bad of a year? Or if Florida State wins, we're Maryland pretenders coming in here? You know, maybe it's a no-win situation.
I don't think Maryland can lose at this point. I mean, they can lose the game, but they think they've played Florida State tough here, where it's been tough for everybody to win.
Here comes a blitz on Ricks. Chris fires, and he's got a man. Guess who? Tallman Gardner inside the 40. 15-yard pass play, and as you said earlier, you could see it coming. He's starting to get a favorite receiver.
I think he likes Gardner. That's his 6th reception of the day, and he's got 2 touchdowns with him. Nice protection.
Tallman Gardner does something here very nice and simple, Bob. He just keeps coming back to the ball. Simple thing that causes a lot of good completions.
I'm just going to point that out.
Tallman's over 100 receiving, including 2 touchdowns. And here's Florida State down inside the Maryland 40 again. Back to the ground now. And Maddox finally broke one. Nick Maddox is going to have about 9, maybe 10. He finally ran north-south for Florida State, and he picked up almost enough yardage for a first down.
Take a look at the offensive line block, and Marambo's in there. Brown is number 54. Holland is the other guard. Doing a nice job blocking. This is the strength of this line. We mentioned it earlier. The strength of the team is that offensive line. Look at these linebackers. You see them all jumping? Then Chris jumped out of the way and says, all right, we're going to check off. We'll do something else.
2nd and a yard. He's going to throw.
Here they come.
And in and out of the hands of Atrus Bell.
You know, there's something about Atrus from last year to this year. There's just a big difference, because last year he caught 10 touchdown passes, as we mentioned, and only 20 or 30 catches. And this year there's a big difference.
It might be something as simple as he's just not a very relaxed player, Bob. He feels like he needs to do more, wants to do more. Matter of fact, he felt they weren't giving him enough opportunities earlier in the year.
Yeah. They're not throwing me the ball enough.
Florida State's just taking another timeout, and that could be huge near the end of this game when you're tied up and they're down to 1 TO left. 13 minutes left. Tie game, 31 apiece.
I'm Dan Patrick here in the ESPN Radio Chopper. Radio marketing is all about promotions. That's why we're blanketing the country with these ESPN radio bats. We've got live sporting events. We've got call-in shows. You can log on to ESPNradio.com and find out more about stations in your area. Or you can listen online. So tune in. And if you happen to catch one of these bats, enjoy!
You gotta have fun. A little bit of celebrating does not bother me.
The game itself is fun. These are great athletes playing the game of football. That's a celebration. That's fun.
That's because you ain't got no rhythm, man.
It's about individuality, Chris.
It's called professional football. Act like a professional.
Stop talking about professional and organized and disciplined. They're kids. Let the kids have some fun.
I'll show you some
fun.
Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Well, the Sports Center is live 4 times a day, but that doesn't mean the other 7 broadcasts are straight repeats. Well, here, look. In this live show, Brian Kenny has his pen in his right hand, but in the rebroadcast, I put the pen in his different hand. And here, then, Linda Cohn is presenting with John Anderson, but in the rebroadcast, I've replaced John with El Macho Borracho, the winningest cockfighter in all of Mexico. It's all about keeping it fresh. That's what I do.
Finally, our show's back, Bob. NYPD Blue.
There you go. The man Sipowicz.
It's been black and blue on third down here on third down conversions for Florida State today. Third down of the yard. On the ground they go, and McCray got the first. The dependable fullback. Very seldom dropped for negative yardage. And number 15, the 230-pounder out of Jacksonville, picks up a big first down for Florida State. So they move the sticks and they continue to the drive as they look to regain the lead.
Florida State has run the ball very well the last 2 weeks. They've gotten over 500 yards the last 2 weeks against Miami and Virginia. Averaged like 30 first downs per game.
So now it's down to the 28 of Maryland. Play action for Ricks. Might want it all. Going to the end zone to Gardner. Got him! Touchdown! Gardner did it again. That's 3.
That's 3.
"28-yard touchdown pass from Ricks to Gardner. Bethia in for the point after. Right down the middle. They haven't been 9-time champions for nothing.
Got Gardner out here on the outside, single coverage. He's just going to go down, break to the inside, and deep out to the post. I mean, to the corner, goes to the post, and then back out. This is a great throw. Over the top against Wilson, who is subbing for the Okanlawan, who is the quarterback that was injured and not here today.
I guess you could say that there's one Gardner who's found fertile soil in the end zone all day long. He turns that corner inside out.
As long as Renegade doesn't apply any fertilizer, we'll leave it alone. 140 yards.
All right, you guys, just stop it right there.
Well, when he does, Florida State loses.
6 catches. 140 yards, 3 touchdowns, as you see, all career bests for that young fellow.
He's coming of age, and so is Chris Ricks. 12 of 19, 250 yards, and 3 touchdown passes.
So a 54-yard march in just 5 plays, capped off by the touchdown. And it's 38-31. Chris Ricks, who a couple of weeks ago some of his teammates were even questioning all of his turnovers. He's getting a lot of high and low 5s over there on that bench right now. Here's Rich Parsons going to bring it out. A little delay. And from 5 yards deep, was it a mistake? It was. Let's hope.
Parsons is a true freshman. Hasn't been doing this very much.
Our Pacific Life game summary. A lot of action. The slant pass to Gardner was good for the touchdown. Another one to Gardner tipped on a slant for a touchdown. And then a post corner and a perfect throw and an even better catch. Touchdown. (38-31) Florida State. Perry, the tail behind Lynch, and the crowd getting loud. Now Lynch had to turn around and say something to him. Perry fumbled. Loose ball. Florida State scoops it up. Rufus Brown's got it. Rufus Brown with a fumble recovery.
That's the 4th turnover for Maryland today.
There's a flag at the end of the play, but I don't think it has anything to do with the fumble itself. Rufus Brown, the sophomore corner out of El Paso, Texas. The guy Bob said isn't the biggest guy in the world, just made a big play. Illegal block on the return of the fumble, I think is what they're calling.
On the return, we have a block in the back by the return team. 10 yards, first down.
And they'll take the possession and not worry about the penalty.
The defense coming up big for Florida State. They've already had an interception for a touchdown. Dockett, number 45, knocks it loose. Dockett was in the doghouse. He had 2 penalties, and one of the penalties led directly to a long field goal just before the half.
So Darnell out of the doghouse, maybe into the penthouse with that play that turns the ball back to the Florida State offense.
I don't think one good play eliminates those other 2 dumb ones.
Yeah, we still got 12 minutes left.
That's true.
Here's a give to Jones. Florida State now with the lead of 7. Would love to use some clock and keep it on the ground. A reminder, at the conclusion of today's game, we'll select a Chevrolet Player of the Game. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. I tell you what, you can seal the lid on who's going to win it for Florida State, in my opinion, but we still have a ways to go.
Certain wide receiver, number 21.
That might be the guy.
Yeah.
I know Swannie's already got his vote in. 2nd down and 6. Ricks lofts one to Bell. Not quite. Jerome Cox was out there covering.
Well, you know, my vote might be going to the guy that's throwing him the football.
He's not having a bad day, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is maybe coming of age day for Chris Ricks. Still made some silly plays, but those are getting fewer and fewer, and the big plays are becoming more often.
Don't want to make a mistake here now, as they've worked it inside the Maryland 25. To the end zone. Javon Walker, touchdown.
Just threw a jump ball and he went up and made the play.
Javon Walker gets into the act. 22 yards.
Single coverage on the outside. Wilson, 13, never sees the ball coming. And then when you got a guy that can jump like Walker can, it's just single coverage.
Bob, Brad, it's just so many good things coming together for this football team. A quarterback who has got confidence in the receiver, a line who's giving him time, and receivers who are making plays in the ball game. All up until this point, Florida State's passing attack has only given you pieces. Every once in a while, a little bit of something, but not all of it. Today, they put it all together.
They celebrated a little bit too much after the touchdown, so Beatty is going to try a 35-yard extra point here. And Gwaltney to hold. There's what's called getting a big extra point. 11 minutes and 17 seconds remaining in the ball game. The defending ACC champs are not giving up that crown easy, are they? Touchdown pass, number 4 for Ricks. Not a bad day for number 16, 45-31.
The games will come to an end this weekend, but that doesn't mean you have to leave the worldwide leader in sports at home. Because the news, interviews, and analysis from your favorite ESPN personalities continues all day, every day on over 600 radio stations nationwide. Check your local listings to find the ESPN radio station near you. ESPN Radio. Take it with you.
Get into the zone, the ESPN Zone. The ultimate sports dining and entertainment experience. Eat great food, watch any game that you want, and compete in our sports arena. ESPN Zone. What more do you need? Visit the Zone in Baltimore's Inner Harbor, in downtown Chicago, in New York's Times Square, in Atlanta's Buckhead District, and in downtown Washington, D.C. Get into the Zone.
But baseball is marking the time. This field, this game, it's part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good and could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Baseball Tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
And I like you, and we need you.
So Florida State set to kick off after turning the fumble into points again. And the points off turnovers have become huge as the Seminoles now have a 2-touchdown lead. With 11:17 left, Rich Parson back deep. They're going to squib this one down the middle. And who's going to take it? Parson will take it at the 12. Goes to the far side. Found himself a little bit of an alley. Got a decent return out of it. B.J. Ward, who was shaken up earlier, came out and made the stop on the special teams. Denard Wilson's the guy that gave up that touchdown. Here's Coach Friedgen still coaching.
Yeah, you know what he's telling him? He's just saying, hey, Denard, you know, you're a good football player. Don't get down. We need you. You're going to be around here for the next couple of years. We got a lot of football players. Learn from that situation. The next time you do it, you've got to see the ball and you've got to go up and knock it down, but don't get down on yourself. Ralph is a hands-on coach. He knows everything that's going on. He wants to be involved in everything.
His team has to get involved offensively in a hurry now. They trail by 14. Here's the option and the keep by Hill, and he's got 10 or 11 before Rufus Brown brings him down. So first down run. They can't get it all in one big gulp here, so they've got 11 minutes to work with. Nebraska knocked off previously undefeated Oklahoma, snapping a 20-game winning streak for the Sooners, the defending champs. Stanford, UCLA trying to mount a comeback, but the Cardinal trying to knock another undefeated off. Florida now has added a touchdown in Georgia in the world's largest cocktail party.
We may not have an undefeated team left at the end of the year.
You might be right, partner. Here's the option pitch, and it is to the freshman, Parson. And he got to about the 48, maybe the 49-yard line. Boulware ran him down.
You know, we started to say something earlier about Maryland, and would they, you know, I said something about, you know, I don't think they could lose coming out here. They lose the game, but I think they've done enough. They've scored 31 points. They've taken Florida State into the fourth quarter, and they've challenged them at home, a place where they've only lost one game in the last 55 games.
Here's a fade. Man's wide open. Williams. Oh, he dropped the ball.
That was a sure touchdown that he dropped.
Malcolm Tatum was 2 yards back, and Jafar just dropped it.
Jafar's a little bit of a project. They've been working with him. They feel like eventually he's going to be a great receiver, and that's why he stays out there on the field. But you've got to make the easy plays as much as the difficult plays. This was a touchdown. He had Tatum beat by 10 yards.
Oof. 5 drop passes today by Maryland. There's one upset wide receiver with himself. And a third down now, and 6 going to have to hustle. Timeout. He's going to have to waste one too.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough mentally and emotionally on an offense. When you see you're down by 2, and with that one throw, you're only down by 1 touchdown if he catches it and runs it in.
Just under 10 minutes remaining in the ball game. Ralph Friedgen's troops are going to have to pull an amazing comeback here. They trail by 14.
Beautiful.
I can still feel his hooks in my ribs and taste the leather from his uppercuts. So why should I get out of the corner? Because I'd gladly take another 3 minutes of pain for a shot at a title. Wouldn't you?
Friday Night Fights on ESPN2.
Sweet!
You're not the game day band.
We are the game day band.
And we're back. Big Ten football.
College Game Day.
Thursday nights at 7 on ESPN.
All right, Mike, hour 32 of ESPN Radio's Hands on the Heisman contest continues, and so far we don't see any quit in any of these contestants.
Except for me. They quit soon. 32 hours. This is amazing how long they can stand there, let alone stand with their legs and then hang on to something as well. It's very impressive so far. I couldn't do this.
It's not so much the endurance, it's the ability to withstand the boredom. For a check of the ESPN radio station near you, go to espnradio.com.
Third down of the game, obviously, for the Terrapins of Maryland. Third down along 6 from their own 48-yard line. Got a man in the flat. That's where he goes to Perry. Can he beat the defenders?
Too many
out there. And Garnett and Gold. Brown is there first, and then Jennings and company join him. And it's fourth down.
That was not the design place to throw the football. People wonder, why do you throw it behind? It's 3rd and 6, and you throw it behind the line of scrimmage. He wanted to throw it downfield. He had 1 read, 2 reads, and 3 reads, and then they were all covered. And then he comes out to the outlet so he wouldn't have to take a sack.
Bernard to kick. Dominic Robinson is back deep. He had a nice return last time. He got his hands on it. Bernard just belted this one, and Robinson lets it go. Goes all the way to the end zone. Got too much on it. So it's a touchback. And they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. That's where we'll see him after we check in with John.
Brad, Michigan and Iowa back and forth again, this time for the Wolverines. John Navarre, 13 yards to Sean Thompson. He rumbles in for the touchdown, so Michigan has regained the lead with about 8 minutes to go, 29-26. Meantime, Stanford had a 31-7 lead over UCLA. Their lead is down to just 3.
UCLA trying to remain unbeaten. Oklahoma lost their unbeaten ways. So did Virginia Tech today. Maryland might have the same fate happen here in the next 10 minutes. They're still hitting people, though.
I wonder if John's shown any highlights of my Boilermakers today.
They won. Homecoming.
Yeah.
You should have been there back at your frat house singing your old Purdue song. Oh, they got a good season going.
They do.
Hance had 2 touchdown passes and ran for 2.
It's post Drew Brees era, and they went to the Rose Bowl last year, and everybody thought they'd be down. They're doing a good job in there. My man Joe Tiller.
Second down at 13. We're down to 8:40 left in the ball game. Ricks trying to go to his tight end, incomplete. And 8:33 and a long third down coming up. Bobby Bowden, if you didn't hear, earlier this week signed a contract extension. It's going to take him through 2004. I kidded him about it yesterday.
Yeah, an extension of a contract and a little raise.
That cracked us up, a little raise.
Brad kind of snuck that in at the end after about 10 or 12 questions. And Bobby has dodged that question with the media, for 2 weeks.
Here's Ricks. He's going on top. Scott Bell out there. This time he made the catch. Maybe that'll get Achrews off the snide.
He knows he's missed some, and that was a tough catch to make.
He had to look straight back over his shoulder to make this grab.
This is just one-on-one with Cox. Just throws the ball to the outside, a little underthrown, and he just stays with it.
Swanee, that's got to be about the toughest catch there is to make, isn't it?
That is one of the most difficult catches in the world to make. You're almost doing a back bend, and you wonder how a guy cannot make some easy catches, then come up with the most phenomenal catch maybe of the ball game.
That might be just what the doctor ordered for him to kickstart him for the rest of the season.
Give me determination and give me a second chance attitude.
First down now at the Maryland 36. Here's a toss to Jones. Ball security and clock management now for Florida State's what they're thinking with a little over 8 minutes left and a 14-point lead. Getting back just for a moment to that contract situation for most people around college football that pay attention to that sort of thing. Bobby Bowden, Steve Spurrier and Bob Stoops are the $2 million men now. Bobby started at what, 37.5? Is that what he told us?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, after 300 and what looks like is going to be 320 wins, I don't think if they deserve it, those three guys I mentioned probably all deserve it.
There's no doubt about that.
Second down and 8. Bobby pretty much put this football program together and on the map by playing big name teams on the road and finally starting to upset a few, and then got a big time schedule, and then joined the ACC, and over those 26 years, top 5 in the country 14 years in a row.
Nobody ever do that again.
And played in the national championship game 3 straight years, including losing to Oklahoma last year in the Orange Bowl.
Played in 4 of the last 5 years.
That's something.
Won 10 games 14 years in a row.
Third down and 5 here. They will throw, and they're going to lob it over there on a fade, and this one's caught, and it's Bell, and it's a touchdown. How about that? Confidence catch number 1, beautiful catch number 2. Florida State now is just 7 minutes away from making one more team find a loss in the right-hand column.
It pours.
I guess so.
Florida State and Chris Ricks were just dying to get some of these touchdowns a couple weeks ago against Miami, and now they're coming in 5s.
Extra point to try to make it 52-31 is good. Man, oh man.
Watch him now. Take a look at this. Swanee, watch this. He's going to get down there, and he's going to slow up. Right there, he slows up to wait for the ball to come to him, and then he kind of pushes off of the defensive back.
That's a very veteran move, Bob. A very heads-up, smart move, and very much like what you talked about before when the receiver puts his body between the receiver and the ball.
Yeah.
What he did was slowed up, so that ball will come down on the other side of his body, and he can make the catch.
Yep.
And interestingly enough, when he came to the sideline, all of his teammates are right there. Ricks was there. They're patting Bell on his back because they understand what he has been through this year, not having made the catches, not having come through the way he wants to come through, and now 2 catches in a row, he finds himself in the end zone.
He was in a slump. You know, it was in some kind of a slump, and nobody knows why. Everybody goes through it sometimes at different positions, but I think you've just seen Atrus Bell come out of it.
For whom the bell tolls, that's 5 touchdown passes for Chris Ricks, and he's mixed it up. 3 to Gardner, 1 to Walker, 1 to Bell, and it's 52-31. And there's a big smile. And you like seeing that because he's had his moments that certainly weren't this good, and now he's put together, like you said earlier, maybe this is the coming of age game right here, and we're watching it.
Chris, in the 2 losses this year, he had 9 turnovers in the 2 losses, the one to one to Miami and one to North Carolina.
Here's a kick. Randall Jones will take it. He's going to try to throw it back. Uh-oh. This isn't going to work out too well. Threw it to Jamal Chance and threw it all the way over to the 2-yard line.
Well, let me explain that. That was a lateral. That was a lateral, not a pass, because it was a backward. It's called a backward pass, which is a lateral. So whether he catches it or whether he catches it on the bounce, he could still pick it up and run with it.
He just couldn't find a handle over there. Here's Randall Jones. And that's why he's not a quarterback.
Well, he was a quarterback. He was the starting quarterback at Maryland when he got there. He was a...
And you like seeing that because he's had his moments that certainly weren't this good, and now he's put together, like you said earlier, maybe this is the coming of age game right here, and we're watching it.
Chris, in the 2 losses this year, he had 9 turnovers in the 2 losses, the one to one to Miami and one to North Carolina.
Here's a kick. Randall Jones will take it. He's going to try to throw it back. Uh-oh. This isn't going to work out too well. Threw it to Jamal Chance and threw it all the way over to the 2-yard line.
Well, let me explain that. That was a lateral. That was a lateral, not a pass, because it was a backward. It's called a backward pass, which is a lateral. So whether he catches it or whether he catches it on the bounce, he could still pick it up and run with it.
He just couldn't find a handle over there. Here's Randall Jones. And that's why he's not a quarterback.
Well, he was a quarterback. He was the starting quarterback at Maryland when he got there. He was his true freshman year. He was a starting quarterback. Now he's the starting free safety.
You can see why. That's what I'm saying.
Boy, he had to take his gloves off, to throw the ball.
Now they're buried at their own 2-yard line. And Hill will have to work with crowd noise behind him from the shotgun. He's clapping his hands. He wants the ball. The center can't hear him, and now they snap it. And Perry takes it, and they whistle. That play dead. Hill was asking for it. His center wasn't hearing and wasn't seeing him ask for the snap.
Brad and Bob, this crowd has been unbelievable all day. Half the distance, still touchdown. They have the ability to be enthusiastic, but I have not been down here on the football field to hear this crowd this loud in a number of years. I think they understand what their team is going through, and listen to the support now.
Backed up to the 1. Perry trying to break out, got him a little bit of room out to the 5. Bobby Bowden had to talk to his booster club recently, and he said he went in there with the idea he was going to tell them, you know what, we have to realize that we're just like common folk now because we've lost a couple games. He said nobody laughed. They weren't used to Florida State being in that common ground. They're used to being the rarefied air of the national championship hunt. And now the fans, I think, are responding after being jaded and spoiled for so many years. Finally, this team has awakened today at home, and where they have never lost a conference game, it does not appear they're going to have that problem again today either. Well, we're going to see him next week at Clemson, and all of a sudden that becomes the game in the ACC, coupled with Georgia Tech and North Carolina Thursday night on ESPN.
Right, they're 5-2 now. If they win this game, they go to Clemson. Then they got a big game with Florida over in Gainesville, and then they've got Georgia Tech, the makeup game, on December the 1st. So they still got a lot of football to play.
A lot of work left.
Bobby thinks he can win the ACC conference if he doesn't lose another game. Thinks he'll be the highest rated team in the ACC if that happens.
Sean Hill's got to get rid of this thing. And it's a good thing he was out of the pocket again over there in the end zone, or that would have been a safety from intentional grounding in the end zone, but he was way over near the sideline, just got rid of it. And they're going to have to give it up. With 5:26 left, it's 4th down. Up near his own end line there with the kick. Robinson shags it down at the 42. Dominic Robinson back into Maryland territory, and a flag. Going to have a illegal block on the return, I'm sure. And Florida State 5 minutes and 14 seconds remaining in the ball game, away from a big win, and one that would move Bobby Bowden past Glenn Pop Warner.
I guess Bobby's not getting too old. He's 71 years old, and he lost a couple of games, but he's won a couple more. Beat Virginia. He's going to win this one.
There's Pop Warner, 319, tied with Bobby Bowden. And Bobby is 5 minutes away from moving one step closer to a guy that was one of his heroes, Bear Bryant, who, of course, had 323, and Joe Paterno, who joined the top of the ladder today with his victory over Ohio State for 324. We got a timeout with 5:14 remaining, and it is Florida State 52, Maryland 31.
Hi, I'm Jeff Kent, and I'm here to talk about ESPN the magazine. You know, when they first asked me to do this, I was pretty excited. They could have had just about any athlete. So to choose me is really something. It's humbling to be able to give something back. So all you young players out there, listen up. ESPN magazine is only $1 an issue. They'll even throw in a free fleece.
That's right, Jeff.
Every
When
day
you
I
call
feel blessed.
1-800-504-6644, you'll get 26
Game I
issues
love.
for just $1 an issue.
one
So
hell of a
call
life.
1-800-504-6644.
Thanks for listening to me.
There's only one neighborhood where the legends compete in the greatest games in history, ESPN Classic. Only ESPN Classic has the greatest games from the NFL, baseball, NBA, NHL, NASCAR, and fights from the largest boxing library in the world. Call 1-800-CLASSIC to get all your favorite classic sports. Plus, Sports Century, the Emmy and Peabody Award-winning series that profiles the top 50 athletes of all time and beyond. To get ESPN Classic, call 1-800-CLASSIC today.
Catfish. What a great arm. Who is that kid anyway?
Of course he's got a great arm, Buttermaker. He's the best athlete in the area. But you don't understand. That's Kelly Leak.
You guys talking about Kelly Leak?
Yeah.
That dude is a bad mother. Talking about a loan shark. I borrowed a nickel from him last week. He said if I can give him a dime by Friday, he'd break my arm.
That's su bandito.
Baseball Tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
5:14 remaining in the ball game. Let's go down to Lynn.
Bobby, your football team is playing extraordinarily well. Chris Ricks, it seems like he got everything turned around in this ball game.
He sure is. They've turned the ball over. This is going to be a reverse right here. I want you to watch this reverse. Are you watching it?
Yeah, who's going to get the ball here?
Number one. We'll probably lose 50 yards since I called it.
That's Crefonzo Thorpe to the... Got one guy to beat.
You decided to open up the ball game. It did not work for you, but you tried that fake punt.
Yeah. We needed something to happen, and it did not work. But we were able to come back and win the game. They turned the ball over. Maryland has not been turning the ball over. They did what we've been doing, and that's turning the ball over. Can't win like that.
H.U. Spells made a couple of big catches. Were you trying to get him the ball, trying to get his confidence together?
Well, in a way we were. We did want to hope to get him the ball, but we don't specifically pick a guy out and try to get him the ball.
Okay, Coach.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
All right, Bobby, go back to work. Here's Maddox inside.
I think Bobby was enjoying it.
Yeah, he was.
I think Bobby wanted to talk some more.
I think that's his favorite part of coaching sometimes.
Well, when you're up by 21 points, yeah.
Time permitting, reminder to stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental postgame report. John and Terry will have scores and highlights from around the country. And Bobby's still on the headset. Third down at 5. And there's an opener, and I think that's a first down run, and that might be the big one that Florida State needed. Nick Maddox wanted to keep going, but all they really need to do is move the sticks and use the clock.
Here's a look at the first 7 games that Maryland won, especially Georgia Tech was impressive there. And North Carolina, although they weren't playing as well. They've got Troy State next week. They have Clemson at home and then NC State. So, I think Ralph is looking forward to, next week, obviously, but if they can beat Clemson and NC State and finish 10-1, that would be a great year, first year for them.
Maddox found a hole again and gets inside the 40 to the 38. Check in with Swanee again.
Well, Brad, Ralph Friedgen has come in and done a great job, not just on the football field, but also where he counts a lot in college programs in dollars and cents. He's increased the average attendance for home games by 8,600, project that out to 60,000. And look, if you look at ticket sales, t-shirts, hats, parking, meals, just those few items, the economic impact of what he's done will be $4.8 million for that program. And they haven't sold out a ball game yet. So I think we have to look down the road and say this man's doing a great job for the team. He'll continue to move the program forward and have great success.
Yep, no doubt about it.
You think Swanee added up all those numbers?
Swanee is kind of a numbers kind of guy.
I wonder how he got all those numbers.
Yeah.
Well, I added it all up, Bob. I pulled all those numbers together. Yeah. I said, okay, here's the impact. That doesn't even include like hotels. If they change the logo, everybody wants to buy even more of the items with the licensed product. And then if they sell out the stadium, I mean, they've got 150,000 alumni living in the Beltway.
Yeah.
And the stadium holds 46,000. I mean, Maryland, if you want your program to do well, get into the program.
There you
Show
go.
up.
Yeah.
Second down at 5. Gives to McCray. And William McCray inside the 30 down to the 29-yard line. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Chevy. The cars you can depend on, the cars that last, will be there. Discover Card for the slightly smarter consumer. Chili's baby back ribs, flame grilled and double basted with barbecue sauce. And Budweiser, who salutes America's designated drivers. As the sun goes down and the moon comes out over Tallahassee, the sun's about to set on the undefeated record of the Maryland Terrapins. As they came in riding high at 7-0, as Bob said, they have played very well, and they didn't just show up, they did come on a mission, but the mission's going to be unsuccessful today against the defending ACC champions, who seem to have found their way. 52-31.
Yeah, they didn't get what they wanted coming in, but I think still they got some respect. Through three quarters, this was still a ball game. And Maryland in the past have not been any challenge for Florida State whatsoever. They came in here and they played Florida State tooth and nail through the first 3 quarters. They can hang their heads high, and I think, you know, I always learn more from losing than I ever did from winning, and I think Friedgen will take that approach, and he'll go back and they'll learn from this, and they'll be a tough ball club the rest of the way.
McCray, the fullback, is trying to use the clock. And Florida State still is going to be perfect at home in conference play. Even though, as Bob said, the 54-game unbeaten streak went the last time by the boards when we were here a couple of weeks ago. They'll maintain their supremacy at home against conference competition with this one today. And it sets up a big showdown. Bowden and Bowden. We'll have the Bowden Bowl down at Death Valley next week. That's where Bob and Lynn and I will be. We hope you join us for that one, because if you haven't seen Woody Dantzler play, although he struggled a little bit the last couple of weeks, he is one exciting football player, and we'll see him and now a Florida State team that has renewed vigor and still dreaming of another ACC title. Our Chevrolet players of the game: Bruce Perry, who did a nice job on the ground and as a receiver today, went over 1,000 yards rushing. And Tallman Gardner, and I know we wanted to give 2 or 3 or 4 out to Florida State because you don't have many quarterbacks that throw 5 touchdown passes, but you don't have many receivers that go 6 for 140 and 3 scores, all career highs. As those two, that battery of Ricks and Gardner, is really what won this football game for Florida State. So Chevy will donate $1,000 to each university's general scholarship fund. In those fellas' names, our congratulations to them. Here's Hill down the middle. And close to a first down with 34 seconds and the clock winding down. They momentarily stop the clock to move the chains. Hill throwing, just overshot his intended receiver. Monroe out there.
I just wonder if this game would have been any different if Jafar Williams would have caught that ball when they were down by 2. He was wide open, and it would have made it a 1-touchdown game. But they didn't catch it, and that's the things you can't look back. You got to look forward, and I think that's the thing that Ralph will have with these young players with Maryland. You know, we're building a program. You go through this stuff. When you play tough teams, you got to make the plays when you have the opportunity.
Sean Hill flips it out. It's complete. Trying to get out of bounds is Matt Murphy. Rufus Brown is over there to help on the stop. And the clock winding down. They got time for maybe another play or 2. And they will fall from the unbeaten ranks, as a couple other teams have already done today. And more may follow. Hill pumps and looks and comes complete. And that one ends the ball game.